Do you like comic books, video games, movies, and television? Are you way more interested in fictional superheroes than actual human beings or real life? Do you like listening to people discuss these topics for roughly an hour or two at a time?
Well, if you liked when this asshole did it alone, you're gonna love me.
This is the intro to our podcast, ain't it? What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Bat in the Hat podcast. My name is Oswald Cobblepot, and with me, as always, is Matt. Just Matt. What's up, Matt?
Hey there, bud. How you doing?
Pretty good. We, it's been a fun week.
Yeah.
Things have happened.
Yeah, one of the biggest ones. I have to pretend like it didn't. So
Yeah.
It's been a great time.
So let's talk about that for a minute. Everybody out there, I haven't seen Endgame yet, and I've been dying to see Endgame. I wasn't able to get. I'm ashamed to say I wasn't able to get a ticket for me and my lady when opening weekend came out. Right after opening weekend, we broke up, and now I'm going to see it with a friend next week or this week, or I don't know. What day is it? What day is today?
Hump day.
Today's Sunday. So this week.
Today's Sunday.
Yeah, we're recording this on Sunday. But so Matt went and got to see Endgame like opening night, right? Thursday?
I did. I saw it one of the first showings on Thursday. Apparently there was a fan event. I could have saw it Wednesday. So I was pretty upset that I didn't jump on that.
That's it. Yeah, I did see a lot of that when like a lot of people were posting about it on Wednesday night, like late Wednesday night, and I was like, what happened?
See, I've been to those before for other films. They literally, well, at least they say, they'll be like, you're under strict surveillance. If your cell phones come out whatsoever, you'll be escorted out, all kinds of stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if they made people sign like a non-disclosure agreement that night. But long story longer, I did see it Thursday. It was good. I'll save all of my feedback to our episode that we have determined that we will do strictly about Endgame.
Yeah.
And it's just been, it's like I told you earlier, I saw it and I haven't been able to talk about it at all.
Yeah, he said that he has, like, none of the people in his circle have even seen it, so he's been pretty quiet.
Family members haven't seen it. I just can't, I haven't been able to discuss it, so you keep it bottled up so long, you're just like, whatever, I'm over it. And then you start forgetting stuff.
That's amazing. Now you're going to go see it again next Sunday with your folks, is that right?
Yeah, I'm going with my parents and my nephews and my sister, and it's going to be cool because I always like seeing stuff that I've seen first, and then you get to go with people and watch how they respond to it. I'm weird like that. I've always liked when people experience stuff that you enjoyed.
It's that thing where you're sitting in, you've already seen it, so
you know when things are happening.
Yeah, you're like staring at them, like wait, like you need to know their reaction to what's about to happen.
Like the one thing I will say is in this movie, there are moments where you acknowledge the fact that you've caught yourself grinning like an idiot and just feel overwhelming joy. Like they did a very good job. They just did a good job.
Like fan servicey? You think it was really fan servicey?
Well, yes, a lot of fan service, but also just you've spent all this time watching these movies. Some people get like their due recognition more than they have, things like that. And then it's just fun, man. You get to see a lot of really cool stuff. And I legitimately, it was fun. They say it's an experience. I thought it was.
Yeah. I'm really personally excited to see the movie when I get to see it on Thursday. And I think that our episode, which we're going to do the episode next Monday is when it premieres, because we wanted to wait. So a week from tomorrow, or a week from when this episode premieres, obviously. Yeah. And we wanted to wait because Shazam we both had just seen it, and I saw it the morning that we recorded the podcast. Mm-hmm. And then we both were like, all right, we're going to go right to doing the podcast. And that was opening weekend for the movie. And that was a bad idea, because how many people told you? I know a lot of people told me. They were like, hey, we didn't all get the chance to see this yet, so we can't listen to your podcast.
Yeah, we did the listeners and I think ourselves a disservice. Like I said, we didn't even really give ourselves time to process what we had seen.
I agree.
We were doing the podcast like an hour after.
Yeah, it very much was too much too soon, but you live, you learn, and we're going to do the Endgame episode a week after, premiere weekend, and it's going to be just heads up. Total spoilers. We're not doing any non-spoiler stuff. We're gonna jump right into it, and
it's like I was telling you though, with a podcast, it's not like we can catch you off guard. If you hit play, it's your fault.
It'll be right. I'll make sure I put it right there in the title. Big spoilers. So if you listen to it, don't get mad. But yeah, I'm really excited. I think that's going to be fun. This week, what we're recording right now, is we are doing our review, not so much review, just kind of talking about the Gotham finale that just happened.
Reflection upon Gotham.
What?
Reflection upon Gotham.
Yes, we are very much reflecting upon that show.
That's funny. I saw Endgame.
Yeah.
And I went at 7, so I got home at like 4 a.m. when
Yeah.
the movie was over. No, I'm just kidding. But I did. I got home at about 11:30, and then I watched the finale of Gotham. So
yeah,
was,
so you
it was
got
quite
to
an
see
evening.
two finale movies
It was,
or two finales
it was
in
quite
a single
evening.
day.
And then, like how I like to joke every week now, the date of this recording is Sunday, 2019, the year of our Lord, and today is the big battle of Winterfell. If you're a Game of Thrones fan, this is a big deal. Everybody will probably die, so God bless you.
And I don't know what that is.
Stay strong, everyone.
I don't remember what I was on, but everything was tagged as like, it was like Facebook or Twitter or something, but everybody was tagged. It asked you, are you a Game of Thrones fan? Mm-hmm. And then it put a little symbol next to the profile pictures with, I don't know what it was, but of course I answered no. And then I noticed that everybody, as I was scrolling through Twitter or something, it was, they had the little Game of Thrones symbol next to it. I was like, this is fucking weird.
Well, how Endgame was the, everybody was scared, like who's going to make it, who's not going to make it.
Right.
This is the same scenario with Game of Thrones. Just as a non-fan, just to let you know, like people who've made it the whole show, especially tonight's episode. Oh, right. Mind you, this is actual fact. The battle that's taking place on tonight's episode is longer than any recorded battle in TV or movie history. It is longer than the Battle of Helm's Deep in Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers.
Really?
This whole episode, if I'm not mistaken, if it doesn't start immediately with the fight, it'll probably start 5 minutes after. And then the whole episode is just a battle.
So just again, as somebody who doesn't watch the show, this is only the second episode of the 6 final episodes, right?
It's the third.
The third.
So
okay.
I think everybody, and myself included, highly expects that. If I had to guess, especially in Game of Thrones fashion, probably more than one big character will not make it through this episode. But yeah, this is like the climactic battle. From what I can guess, is like this is going to be the huge battle, and then there'll probably be at least another confrontation by the end.
Well, I was going to say, do you think that with it being the third, do you think the last 3 episodes are going to live up to whatever happens in this episode?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the only difference with something like this is everybody, it's literally turned into, I think in Vegas you can bet on it. Everybody wants to know who will sit in the Iron Throne.
Right.
Tonight's episode will not answer that question.
Right.
You have to make it till the end. I'm curious as hell. I don't know. We just got to see who lives. So
that's interesting.
But yeah, should be cool.
Yeah, that's yeah, I'm not excited because I don't watch the show, but I think it's cool. I don't, I never bust on anybody for their fandoms or anything. I think it's really neat that any show like this has caused such a huge fandom to emerge.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And people really take it. I mean, my brother Cody takes it ridiculously seriously. Him and his wife Kelly, they love it.
I think this is like the biggest show of all time.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be up there.
Imagine.
Yeah, and it's weird. It almost feels like embarrassing to say that you don't watch it, only in that fact of it genuinely. I tried it. It wasn't my cup of tea. I think I may give it another shot, but when you genuinely just don't get into something, you can't help that.
No,
but
see, I think you're lucky because if you do decide to give it a shot later,
right,
you have access to the whole series. As opposed to people having to wait years in between.
Yes,
seasons.
You are right, but it feels right now like you're being left out of this secret, like you're being left out of this thing that everybody is so obsessed with, and it's super weird. But
well, just do yourself a favor. Just when it inevitably ends in a few weeks,
force yourself.
Don't look at how it ends.
Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't understand the context anyways, probably.
Right.
But later, if you watch the show and you remember, oh, I read this and this makes sense now. Never mind, I know how it ends. Let me turn it off.
It's fair enough. But yeah, I'm really excited to talk about Gotham tonight. Anybody who listens to the podcast, you'll know that me and Matt, the battle rapper,
Short
me and Matt are both big fans of the show. The difference, I think, is, and we're going to get into, I don't want to say too much right this second, but we're going to get into it. The difference is me and him have very different opinions on this finale in general. Mm-hmm. And so we're kind of going to talk about why. But first, Matt, I got some news for you.
Cool, dude. Just do what you got to do.
You never get excited for the news. You hate the
it's
news.
It's a joke. I'm always excited.
Matt does not like the news. Ever since Walter Cronkite passed away. He can't get himself excited.
R.I.P. Walter.
R.I.P. Walter. But this one you will get excited for because rumors have leaked that Rocksteady, and you already know this, but rumors have leaked that Rocksteady has been producing an Outlaws game.
I sent you this. What
I
do you
know,
mean I already know?
Shut your mouth. Do you think we're not going to talk
You
about
act
it?
like you do some big research. I sent you this lead.
I did do my research, but
I'm
not
teasing.
really.
Go ahead.
Rocksteady definitely, what was I saying? Yeah, there's leaks that they were producing an Outlaws game, which is going to segue from the end of Arkham Knight, where we got Jason Todd, the Red Hood, and it's going to be a game more centered around him, but still in that Arkham verse.
See, it's changed a little bit. So for the past, let's call it 6 months to a year, it's been WB Montreal's doing a new Batman game. That was the thing about Court of Owls.
Hold on. That's not gone away.
Yes, and that's what I was saying. But like that's been the primary rumor
Right.
forever.
That's what we're waiting for.
Then just recently, within the last couple of weeks, they said, oh, it's a Suicide Squad game.
Yeah, that was what I remember.
And then now
They
they're
said
saying
Rocksteady was working on a Suicide Squad game.
And then now they say it's Outlaws. Now here's what's interesting, just based off the leaks, full disclosure.
Right.
Take all this with a grain of salt, like I am. But they were saying like the Suicide Squad game would be like a online team up style type game with different episodes as DLC. I started putting 2 and 12 together,
Right.
and I was wondering if Outlaws was just one of those DLC episodes. That's just me. So
Okay.
we can wait and see what happens. They said the official reveal was going to be this past Friday, 2 days ago.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. I was on the internet all
Yeah,
day
I was
looking
about to
for it.
say.
I didn't see anything.
I looked for it, and I didn't. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have any of those answers. But I'm very excited at the prospect of that being a thing. I would much rather personally have an Outlaws game than a Suicide Squad game, with Suicide Squad being a DLC or a side.
Yeah, I feel like I would want both of those franchises in some capacity. Cause I love
I
them
agree.
both.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind them both, but I would just love a game where I could be the Red Hood.
See, the interesting thing is, and I forgot all about this, but at the end of Arkham Origins, they did tease the Suicide Squad. Forgot all about it. Deathstroke was in Blackgate, sitting in a cell,
Right.
and Amanda Waller comes up and says, starting a team, and then it ends.
I did, but wouldn't that mean that WB Montreal would be taking helm of that?
Yeah, but hey, whatever.
That's interesting.
It's your world. Use your imagination. Bob Ross.
Yeah, I don't know. I still am holding out a lot of hope. There's been a lot of strife online about the fact that we haven't heard anything from WB Montreal. They're upset that so many of these gaming conferences have come and gone, and we haven't had a single announcement.
Well, remember, the biggest one of them all has not happened yet. E3.
Right.
E3 happens in June. So that's where I'm at. I'm like, if it's real, they're going to tell us at E3.
So I personally think, so the speculation is that there's supposed to be some big announcement either mid-May or the end of April. So like coming soon, like between the next couple of weeks, there's supposed to be a big announcement. That being said, a lot of people online, I hate to say it, well, I don't hate to say it because it's the internet, but people are being kind of whiny about it. Like, I personally think that if they're not at a place to give us a product that is A+, and they're like, well, we need to push this back, I don't care how many years it's been. If you give me a badass game, it's worth the wait, in my opinion. And all those who are just like clamoring and saying, like, there's a lot of YouTube channels kind of dedicated to these updates, and they're just talking about, well, we have the right to be upset because we're consumers. And it's like, no, you don't, because you would rather them give us a shit game or magically believe they're going to give us an amazing game right now, and they're probably not ready to.
Well, and on the other side of that, then they'll bitch and complain when they release the
Right.
game and it's not complete
Absolutely.
on day one. So it's the gaming
Fallout
community
76
at times
or
has
70, whatever.
like this sense of entitlement.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. At the same time, whether it's Rocksteady or WB Montreal, they're saying it doesn't matter. They're going to buy it either way. We could release the announced trailer the day before. Guess what? They'll
Right.
go out and buy the game tomorrow. I'm with you. Take your time.
Yeah.
If you have a plan of how you want to reveal it, follow your plan. Who cares?
Yeah.
When they did Arkham Origins, they released it. The reveal was like in Game Informer in July, and the
Right.
game came out in October. So people are saying that too. They're like, they're probably going to give us like a 5-month like window. Like,
Yeah, like a
which is
birth.
great because I don't like to wait years. I want them to tell me like right before it comes out.
Well, no. So, and a lot of people are saying that there's a history, and I don't know if this is true because I didn't bother to look into it, but they said there's a history of the Mortal Kombat games coming out the same year as an Arkham game, like the last couple Arkham and Mortal Kombat games.
I read something about the correlation with Mortal Kombat, because Mortal Kombat 11, which I've been playing all week, mind you, and it's awesome.
Is it? I haven't played it yet.
They revealed that like in November.
You know what's interesting about Mortal Kombat or 11, and I've been looking into it just to see, because the game's out now, right?
Yeah.
I feel like when Mortal Kombat 10 came out, we kept getting every week was a new release of, or a new, like they at least told us about, a really awesome DLC pack. And I haven't really seen much from 11. Am I missing something?
I think it just depends on what you're following, really. But no, we all know the only difference with this one is with 11, if these sources are accurate, is they say they're going to add up to 19 more characters. Mind you, there's 26 in the base roster of this game.
Right.
They're going to almost double the roster, but they said they're going to do it over 3 years. So I think what they're doing right now is they're just saying, enjoy the game.
Right.
You know that we're going to shoot out some DLC characters soon, but we'll tell you about it later.
It seems like it's on a much smaller scale than 10, because I remember 10, we kept getting these crazy, whether it was Jason and Leatherface and Freddy, or whether it was RoboCop and the Terminator, or just like these random...
Oh, well, a lot of those were BS. It was just speculation. Half of those you just mentioned weren't in the game.
No, I remember when the packs came out. They're on the PlayStation Store. Am I crazy?
Some of them that you said are.
Am I out of my mind?
Leatherface is.
I know Jason Leatherface.
Jason was. The Xenomorph was. Predator was, which I was... Dude, when the Predator got dropped, I was like, all right, well, I know what I'm doing today.
Okay, well, either way. So you know what I'm saying,
but
though.
I don't... That came later. So, mind you, that was a few years back. So I don't know. But
well, what I was expecting was that a lot of those really cool DLCs... they were going to just, because they were for 10, all right, they're going to include them in number 11. Just have them, to go. You don't have to pay DLC again for the same characters again. Or at least unlockables or something like that.
Oh, they did the same thing where you can pay for the pack up front.
Right.
You never get the characters up front. It's months later.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is that because those were released for number 10, they would just give them to you for number 11. Those same ones. And then they would have new ones for 11 that you then could pay for awesome DLC in the future. No. But now it feels like if you wanted to play as those DLC characters, you have to have number 10.
You can't play them at all. They've never done that where you could play characters like that from a previous iteration in the next one.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying.
What are you saying?
I don't know.
Fuck it.
This has gone off the rails.
It doesn't matter. Mortal Kombat 11's great. Yes, they're going to do a bunch of DLC. Was the scale smaller? Could be. I don't really know. I'm a big Mortal Kombat fan, so I follow all these from start to finish.
The Outlaws game is going to be great if it's a thing. Suicide Squad will probably be cool too.
I mean, it all will. It sounds like it's more of a online... I don't know if it's going to be like a Battle Royale type Fortnite
I was just going to ask, do you think that they were going to do a Battle Royale type game?
I'm not sure, because the thing for the Suicide Squad game seemed very...
Would it fit?
Authentic. Like, it was a breakdown of their release schedule.
Right.
And if it was fake, somebody has either been in the industry and made a really good fake. But it was talking about, it said, okay, when we do the reveal, we'll reveal the game, the gameplay style, the characters that are in it, blah, blah, blah. And then the next one, we're going to show gameplay, how it's an online team-based thing. And then they said the DLCs are time-based raids. And I'm like, what is this, Destiny? So it's not anything like the Batman games prior. It's completely different.
But given the popularity of the Battle Royale style games like Fortnite and Apex, and I think... Does the new Call of Duty has one too? I don't know.
I'm sure.
But given the popularity of these Battle Royale style games, do you think that would work with a Suicide Squad?
Yeah, it's easily, because it's team based. So I mean, you just your friends jump online, and they're gonna have their own method and way it'll work. If they do it, well, it should work.
But do you think it would be your team versus NPCs, or do you think it would be your team versus other online people? Because the only way I could see it,
or probably both, or either or.
The only way I could see it is if only one team is the Suicide Squad, not 30 Harleys and 30 deaths, dead shots.
I don't know. I'm not. When I read about that, I immediately got a little less excited than I was. I'm a
Right.
sucker for single player story.
Me
I don't
too,
play
yeah.
multiplayer stuff really.
No, I like multiplayer stuff if it's co-op. I actually genuinely enjoy co-op stuff.
I miss split screen co-op, like real co-op, where you could sit in with your friends and play it.
Well, yeah, in the same place, but I think the charm of what we have now is that, like my friends in Missouri, I can play co-op stuff with them.
You don't even have friends here. How do
I
you
know.
have friends with Missouri?
You had to call me out. I'd try to lie to make our audience think that people like me.
I'm just here because I'm getting paid. But what I'm trying to say is, yeah, I guess if it's co-op though, like if you can play online, things aren't often very co-op anymore. It's online multiplayer.
Yeah, I agree.
I suck at these games,
Yeah.
so it's not fun for me. But
Yeah.
if me and my friend can play a campaign,
Well,
that's
what,
fun.
What we were talking about is like a lot of like Apex. I have friends who are playing that now, and they're already going back to simpler games like Fortnite because there are so many people who dedicate their days in and days out to playing this game that it's not fun for you if you have a job and you're busy during the day because you get on and immediately just get wrecked
Yeah.
by people who take it way too seriously.
See,
and
I've never played any of those, and
Right.
the when I found out I didn't like any of this stuff was back in like Call of Duty whatever.
right.
And I was like, all right, gung ho, let's do it. Boom, snipe dead in like 2 seconds, headshot. And I'm like, I can't even move. Like these people are way too good.
You brought up like split screen co-op. I will say my favorite games in the world was like the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare because like me and my cousin,
I'm playing the remaster right now. It's
Yeah.
still so fun.
it's
Holds
a lot.
up.
It's still a lot of fun. I play it whenever I go down to Orlando because he still has the old PS2 with the Modern Warfare. But we always would play those co-op protect the castle kind of games.
Yeah.
In,
Where you're playing AI.
Huh?
And stuff like that. Where you're playing AI, or are you saying when you
Yeah,
play
yeah,
other-
where you're playing AI,
Yeah, it's
and
fun.
it's just you and him protecting. Right, so
Yeah.
that kind of stuff was always so much fun.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you. I think we should go back to that, or maybe I'm just turning into an old man.
I just miss like being able to play the actual campaign of games. That's why I liked Halo so much.
Yeah.
Because for the longest time, it was like you can play this
Oh,
campaign
yeah,
by yourself
absolutely.
or play it with a buddy, and it's like, dude, this is so fun.
That's the great part because you had those first-person shooters, but they had storylines and they had like really fun campaigns and objectives, and it wasn't just murder everything that you can
Yeah.
see.
I will always pick story over multiplayer.
I
That
agree.
will never change.
Our next piece of news: the DC Universe app unleashed its entire DC Comics library onto the app, which I'm loving immensely. I haven't done anything. I haven't been watching a lot of TV. Haven't been watching movies. I've just been reading on the app, and it's great. Have you gotten a chance to go in and explore any?
No, I've had a lot of things to do in
Yeah, you've
my
been busy.
non-nerd related life, but I definitely will. I'm still just waiting for Titan season 2. Like I kind of hit a wall. I watched Titans.
Yeah, but I
And-
think that one of the things is like when, especially when I was like really into the Arrowverse, and you're waiting between seasons. I remember there was like, as a comic book nerd, there was like this gap of I didn't feel, now I have all this content to fill in
Yeah.
that waiting for.
Well, I told you I started rewatching all of the new 52 DC animated films.
Yes.
I started from Flashpoint Paradox.
because we're getting Hush soon.
I love all of these movies. I can
Yeah.
watch them 100 times, which in reality I probably have some of them, but it's still so fun. That's where a lot of my time, that's what I'm trying to say. A lot of my time has been going to the DC animated films lately.
Yeah.
I'll try to watch like one, maybe even two a day. And that's where I'm at. But yeah, I'll start reading the comics that you said that's the whole comic library.
Like they announced it as it's 20,000 plus comics.
See, I've never liked digital reading.
I like it because, and I actually love it because one, when I'm on like breaks at work, I read between breaks, and you can do it panel by panel. And I have this problem of like, I love getting my weekly books at Mythical Mountain, but what I do is I do have a problem of when I flip a page and I start reading up here, but something big is happening on the
you
adjacent.
automatically
I
look
flick
down.
over it. you can read panel by panel on the digital stuff, and it's really great.
I did see that, and you told me too. Can't you set your preference, like if you want to read it page by page or panel by panel?
Yeah, you can switch between it.
Because I saw the panel by panel, I thought that was really cool. I don't want to say it was cinematic, but like you just said, it keeps you
you follow along the story, right? Absolutely.
Yeah, that was cool.
I'm a big fan of that book. So you let me borrow the trade paperback Red Hood Lost Days, and it was great. I actually ended up reading it on the app because because I was still figuring out like a lot of the reading or how to navigate that, and it was great. And again, I enjoyed it immensely. What I will say is, and this isn't going to make sense to most of our audience, but just because we're getting that Hush movie coming up, the animated Hush movie, there's a scene in this book where he meets, somebody's like, his name is Thomas Elliot, and then he goes and meets Hush, and Hush straight up asks him, he's like, is Batman really Bruce Wayne? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, what a dick, Red Hood. But yeah.
10 out of 10 will read again, guys. Red Hood, The Lost Days.
Yeah, Red Hood Lost Days is really, really great. But I love it. I love reading. I think that is my favorite part as a reader of the DC Universe app, is I do love the content that they're coming out with, but because, again, the app is not always super user-friendly, I do very much enjoy that aspect. So many books. I already have so many books downloaded and stuff that, even if I'm offline, I can dive into. And I think I told you, once I catch up on all the New 52 and Rebirth Red Hood stuff, I'm going to go doing Deathstroke. So it's a lot of fun. If you guys want to really catch up on any storylines, that is a really great place to go, especially for $7.99 a month. And if you wanted to get into comic books or get into actually reading comic books, but you didn't know where to start, I would start either at the beginning of the New 52 or the beginning of Rebirth. Pick a character, whoever your favorite is, and just start reading on the DC Universe app. And it makes it so easy.
Yeah, the rest will kind of present itself to you, which you probably know what I mean when I say that. Like if you're following one person and then there's branches of the story and then you're like, oh, great, now I want to know what happens.
Well, not only that, but a lot of times when they reference something, they'll put an asterisk next to it, and then there's a note by the editor that says, get the full story in this comic from this issue to this issue.
I used to write those down.
Me too, yeah.
I got to go back and read
I do all the time, and I still do that, and it makes you go look up this comic, and then you're like, all right, well, let me do this, and then I'll catch up here. And so you start navigating where you're gonna read through these storylines, or you could take them one storyline at a time. And what's fun about that is I've realized, like, when you're reading through one storyline and you don't go through all the branches, and then you pick another one, so you're going kind of back to the beginning, when they intersect, you're like, aha, I remember that.
You're like, I got that reference.
Yeah, this happened. But it's super
a very
cool.
Intricate dance that we're doing with comic book storylines.
But, so the news is pretty light this week, but I did want to talk about one thing real quick, because on Wednesday when the new books came out, we got Detective Comics number 1002. For those of you who are following along comics currently, Detective Comics 1000 was a huge event. It was a really great way to kind of wrap up any storylines that were happening in Detective Comics. It was a really beautiful kind of send-off. And then you got all these stories by different Batman authors and different artists. Jim Lee and Kevin Smith did a book together, and just all these like Paul Dini did some of his artwork. Of course, Tom King had a story. Scott Snyder had a story. And it introduced at the end of it what we talked about, Arkham Knight. Arkham Knight is now canon in the comic books. Well, that's what we've been dealing with the last couple of issues. So 1002 came out, and at the very end, he removes his cowl to Damian, and it doesn't show you his face. So Damian's the first person in the book who got to see who the Arkham Knight is. Have I been saying Arkham Knight, or have I been saying Dark Knight?
You said something. I don't remember.
I don't know. The Arkham Knight.
So how did Damian react? Surprised? Indifferent?
Yeah, of course. They drew him with like this shocked look on his face. So what my question to you, Matt, is just as big a fan of the Arkham Knight as I am, who do you think it is in this book?
Talia al Ghul.
Mother? I think it can't be Jason Todd, right? It can't be him.
You said they've established that he's the Red Hood, correct?
So he's the Red Hood in this canon of... Now, here's the thing.
Have you seen them? Like, have they been in the same room together?
Here's the thing is, though, I don't know if... That's the fun thing about Detective Comics, is sometimes it does feel like... Because you have, like, the world-ending crises that are going on in Justice League, right? And then Tom King's Batman run that's happening right now is also kind of in its own world. And so there's never really that certainty of if Detective Comics is on the same wavelength as the rest of them. So I guess ultimately it could be, but I'm pretty sure the Red Hood's been established. No, yeah, because he's been established and he's been a part of everything going on. So I've been racking my brain trying to figure out it. I don't know if it can't be Jean-Paul, whatever his name is, Azrael.
Valley?
Huh?
Jean-Paul Valley? Azrael?
Yeah, Jean-Paul Valley. Thank you. Azrael. It can't be Jean-Paul Valley because he is Azrael in the books already.
Cool. So that's one thing I was curious of. Have they established that all of your usual suspects are still their normal selves?
Yes.
Okay, then I have no idea. It'll probably be somebody stupid like a Bruce Wayne clone or something.
That's what I'm worried about is like, what if it's just like Hush part 2 or something?
Thomas?
Or Hush part 3 technically. But yeah, I don't know. I'm really interested to see. I don't know.
The Arkham Knight, though, as a character is sick. Like, I know everybody got so mad when the game came out because they're like, we knew it was Jason from the beginning.
Yeah.
Well, duh. They tried to make it like it wasn't. But I love what they did with him. Like, it was the stepping stone into him becoming the Red Hood.
Right.
And to me, Arkham Knight was significantly different than the Red Hood as a character.
Right.
Arkham Knight was just a badass mercenary, just ruthless as hell. And
I think that
I like him a lot.
Portrayal of the Arkham Knight is in that game is how I always saw the Red Hood, though.
Yeah, that's why it makes sense that he became that.
Very stoic mercenary who just is one step ahead at all times.
The only difference is at the end of that arc when he makes the transition, that's when his focus shifted from Bruce has to die to, he's kind of a dick, but I'll just move on.
Right.
So
I don't know. But, if you guys have any ideas, if you guys, again, are reading the books and you think you know who the Arkham Knight is, tweet us at BatHatOfficial. Let us know on the Bat in the Hat Podcast Facebook page. I'm just curious as hell to find some speculation.
Yeah, like when it's finally revealed, will somebody send it to me or will you text it to me? Because now it's going to drive me nuts because I'm like, who the hell is the Arkham Knight?
I was going to say,
we're doing this all over again, just like when the game
that
came
issue
out.
comes out, which will probably be the next issue, 1003. I'm going to send you a picture of the panel. Like, look who it was. It was Dick Grayson.
It was Bruce.
Yeah. It was young Alfred from the past.
Sir, you are an asshole.
But yeah, so we're pretty light on news this week, which is fine because I really want to get into Gotham. And
you want to tee off on it now?
Yeah, let's start teeing off on it. So I want to know before we get into what we're going to talk about. So basically what I want to do is we're going to go over the best part of Gotham, which is the villains. And we're I want to know your opinions on these villains. But first, villains?
Villains. We have villains and villains of villains.
But first, I want to know where you stood on Gotham in general. What, all 5 seasons taken into account, if you had to rate this bitch 1 to 10, what would you rate Gotham?
Solid bitch.
Solid bitch.
Are you talking to me or the listeners?
I'm talking to you.
Oh, yeah. I tune him out every so often while we do the show. Sorry about that. What would I rate Gotham as a whole? So I'm not one of those people that cried that Bruce was younger than all the villains. I completely acknowledge that this was their own, like we've talked about before, Elseworlds-esque story.
I didn't mind it at all.
So it didn't bother me.
Yeah.
I was like, whatever.
I think a lot of it actually fit together pretty all right.
I say overall, Gotham, I very much enjoyed. Yeah. I loved it. I liked a lot of their takes on certain characters were very unique.
Me too.
Some of them were more traditional. I thought it was great. And I loved, I'll talk about this later, but overall, I thought it was a very good show. I'd say 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. I actually would bump it up.
7, 8,
I think I enjoyed this show thoroughly. Mm-hmm. And I went into it with that mindset as a fan. Like, all right, this is not going to be the story we're used to. Mm-hmm. There is going to be differences. It's its own Gothamverse, And I can accept it as an Elseworlds kind of thing. Especially with the finale. When you see that finale and you kind of understand that it's not the same. There were a lot of the classic aspects that I thought were brought back, which I loved. And there was a lot of things that they did that were new, especially with the villains themselves. That being said, I was thinking about this because you just said that a lot of people did cry that we were getting all these villains. And they're like, well, Bruce is still a kid.
Dude, literally till the end of the show, people were still complaining.
Yeah.
And I was like, if you're still on this, stop watching the show, please.
No,
like, everybody who enjoys it is okay with this.
Just stop. But, the thing that's interesting is, especially like Victor Freeze or even the Joker or even maybe not so much as like Ivy or Harley or them, but there are a lot of the villains. If you Jervis Tetch, they're old. They're like his rogues gallery are not old men, but they're older.
Yeah. So somebody pointed that out to me too. I never complained about it, like I was just saying,
right.
But somebody just proactively was like, well, if you actually pay attention, Bruce is a younger man when he's Batman,
right.
At least at the beginning.
Right.
All of his villains are typically older than him.
The
They're
difference
not the same
is
age.
The difference is that now we have even in the comics, we're getting an older, experienced Batman because, of course, he's gone through all this stuff. But you can't keep aging up his rogues gallery, so they're now all getting closer in age. And I think that we're never gonna have. I think that we're gonna have this be kind of that pinnacle Batman now, because again, you're absolutely right. In the books, he was always a younger guy. Maybe
unless
not
there was a
young.
clear story where he was older.
But the Batman I see in the current runs and stuff, he's probably in like his 40s, right? Like early 40s to mid 40s. But I think that we're never going to get an older Batman than that, other than stuff like The Dark Knight Returns or Elseworld, Batman Beyond. But
like, I always thought the Joker was older than Batman.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know about you. Like, but he's weird. It was like with the whole he doesn't have an origin. To me, he never had an age.
Right.
Like, I never knew if he was.
Well, I always saw him as older as well,
or 30, but I always thought he was older than.
But again,
Bruce.
if you're I'll stand by that statement of I think that the Arkham video games are the best representation of Batman and his rogues that we've ever gotten. Mm-hmm. And if you look through that kind of, they're all older. Everybody. Yeah. Even Ivy is at least his age.
You can almost break it down, like if you just watch Gotham,
right,
and you let it play out like it did in the finale. It's about right. Like, he's a younger man, and Penguin and Riddler, they're older than him, but they're not geriatric. I mean,
well, and that's
older.
what I'm saying is that, so we've been able to age up Batman because obviously he has all this experience and history under his belt. We can't just ignore that. And we can't compress all that's happened that we want to keep canon in 5 or 6 or 7 years, So we had to give him a 10, 15-year span of age, right? But they made the smart move of they didn't age up the villains as well. Freeze could arguably be the exact same age he's been in all of comics history.
Right.
Same with Tetch, same with Oswald, same with everything, right? So
yeah, the only one I ever thought was old was Penguin.
Right. So now they're feeling closer in age, but that wasn't always the case. So I don't care about that at all. I'm fine with how they presented that, especially because of the portrayals that we got. I think some of them were just stellar.
Well, I don't know about you, but I also took into account, the synopsis of the show. The show was about Jim Gordon.
Right.
Not about Batman.
That's my favorite thing.
So I put that to the side. I was like, Bruce Wayne is going to be in the show because obviously he is a part of this world.
Yeah.
It's his world. This show is about Jim Gordon's world.
It was not a Batman story.
Yeah.
And that's what I think was most disappointing is I was very interested in seeing him become Batman, but that was not the thing that I was clamoring for the entire show.
I was more excited when Jim became commissioner in that.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
That episode before the last, than seeing Batman.
Was that the penultimate episode?
Yes, because somebody was telling me, they said,
yeah.
I consider that the true finale. And I was like, you could. But yes, I was more excited when Jim became the commissioner. When they said Commissioner Gordon, I said, finally, here we are.
You're absolutely right.
Because the show is about Jim.
I very much enjoyed watching him go through, because again, it was more the story of this man that, if you're a fan of like the Batman Year One aspect and a lot of the stuff that we've gotten on Jim Gordon in the past, he was this man who was wanting to fight corruption, and he wanted to clean up Gotham from the inside out, right? From GCPD on. But this show kind of showed us how he struggled with his own morality. He struggled with his own choices, and it wasn't always such a straight and narrow road for him. And I absolutely respected and loved that aspect of it. Bruce, to me, could have been a side character the entire time, and we just got little glimpses of him.
I almost thought he would be when the
Right, me
show
too.
first started.
Yeah,
I was like,
I thought
he'll just
I
kinda
thought
be
we
in
were going to
this.
see the death of the Waynes, and then we were very scarcely going to see. And what I thought we were going to see was, like I was saying, was we were going to he was just going to come in and out for moments of the show, and we would just get glimpses of how he's progressing in that training within Gotham without having too much detail on it.
Yeah.
And then we would see him leave, by the end of it and come back, which I told you I absolutely loved. I thought that I would have been pissed. The only thing that would have pissed me off was if he had never left Gotham and traveled the world. But they gave it to him. They said he was gone for 10 years. That's absolutely perfect. He needed to leave and go train with the people that made him Batman.
True that.
And that was awesome. So what I want to do is we're gonna kind of talk about these villains real quick. We're going to go over a couple of them, and I want to know what you think. And Matt, yes, I'm talking to you, because the audience can't answer me.
I forgot I was here. Hold on.
But I want to know what you thought, because I think that there were a lot of amazing villains.
Oh, some of them were pure gold,
and some of them were
pure
trash.
shit.
Complete dumpster fire.
This is going to be fun. I was looking forward to this part because I get to revisit the ones that were very good, and
So-
some of them were awesome.
We're going to start off. Just to stamp my rating on it, because I said I was going to go higher. I'd give this show a 9. I loved it through and through. I enjoyed it. It truly is it's something that I know that I'll, in a couple years or in a year from now, I will go back and binge all 5 seasons.
Did you take that part where Jim got his mustache in the finale as
loved
just
it.
a troll?
I loved
Because
it.
he only had it for like
I know,
30
and then he
seconds.
fucking shaved it.
It was a troll.
What an asshole.
Because I was like, really? We've been waiting for this the whole time. And then he's like, nah.
He's a handsome guy, though, and when he shaves it, you kind of got to see that handsome,
Well,
cleanly
we've had
shaved
his clean-shaven face
face.
all the time,
Right.
so you get used to it. You almost prefer it, but still, I was like, okay, for the rest of this episode,
Right.
he'll have this mustache.
You got the mustache.
He shaved that Joker right off.
I don't mind it. I think that it was just like a clever kind of
You should have put on the
Easter
glasses
egg.
too.
That mustache in itself was an Easter egg. I thought that was
Yeah,
great.
That was funny.
But I want to start off with one of my favorite villains, actually, which was created strictly for the show Gotham, and that was Jada Pinkett Smith as Fish Mooney.
Fish Mooney.
How did you feel about Fish Mooney?
I didn't. I didn't care for her at first, but
Right.
later seasons I really liked Fish Mooney. Just how her character developed later on, like after Oswald killed her. In,
Right.
What was it? Season 2, 1?
I don't know.
It was early.
Somewhere in there.
But when she comes back and she has more depth, in
Yeah.
my opinion, I really liked Fish Mooney.
I
That's
think
cool.
I enjoyed her from the very first, from when we kind of got that Killing Joke Joker tease in like the first episode with the stand-up comedian on stage and her in the audience. Her deviousness and her cutthroat attitude, I loved it. I thought that it was very becoming of a mob kind of mentality, like that mobster, I run this shit. And she was just slightly under the thumb of Carmine Falcone, right? And you kind of saw, all right, this is a great predecessor to what we're going to get as the true villains of Gotham.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a feeling that she was not going to last through the show. She couldn't have. But what we got was a really great, like I said, just a really great predecessor to that idea, because Gotham in itself always had a very noir feel with its mafia crime base, right, in the underworld, and she was a really great entrance to that.
Well, and you brought up something that made me remember. In the early seasons, they really did set up a good mob vibe,
Right.
very well,
Yeah.
with Fish Mooney and of course Carmine Falcone.
They did a great job of the feeling of the city of
Yeah,
Gotham.
you can tell they abandoned the mob aspect after one of the seasons, but it doesn't matter. But for the earlier seasons, and stuff
when
like
they
that,
took down Falcone and everything.
it was when Lee was like under some sort of curse, and
Right.
Jim killed her husband, which was Falcone's kid. Blah blah blah. But yes, the vibe that they set up, the aesthetic, I really dug it. I liked how Gotham was always overcast. Blah blah blah. I think there was only the sun shining one time in the whole series,
Right.
and Jim had gone to like Florida.
Yeah,
I thought it was hilarious.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
So what I think it gave us, though, with that mob mentality or that kind of mafia style, was it gave us the idea not so much of a noir feeling or mafia, but of henchmen. And what we got from the remnants of that going away of Carmine Falcone and what was I don't even remember the other mob boss's name, but
Doesn't matter.
He was really great as well. Guy from Dexter. But while that went away, while the mafia itself went away, the idea of being a henchman and those people who lived their lives, they didn't have anything but being henchmen, moved on to the villains. And then we got that great aspect, and it fed into it so well of the Penguin has his henchmen, and even Firefly and Freeze, they all ended up getting, that really cool, like, I got these
What is there, like an
knucklehead-
800 number for you guys?
Yeah.
Where do I get all these henchmen? They set up a good vibe of, like, corruption as well. Like, their Gotham worked for me because it was dark, dirty. Like you said, the mob mentality was there. Everybody's corrupt. That's the Gotham I think of, too.
All the citizens seem really stupid.
GCPD is basically criminals.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like the aesthetic and all that. And then Fish, going back to Fish Mooney, she fit in perfectly to that setting. Was she one of my favorite characters? No. Did she end up being one of my favorite characters later? Yeah. She was good.
Absolutely.
She was good.
So that feeds us perfectly into her Umbrella Boy, which was Oswald Cobblepot, the Penguin. Yeah. I thought he was probably one of my all-time favorite characters of this show. And I think that's showing him starting from that frail, terrified, right under Fish Mooney's thumb Umbrella Boy to what he became with an amazing portrayal by Robin Lord Taylor gave us
Is
the
it
Penguin.
Lord Taylor or Taylor Lord?
No, it's Robin Lord Taylor.
You sure?
I'm 100% sure of that.
You want to put money on it?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
$50.
$100. But yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
$100. So while I'm talking about Penguin, he's going to look up the $100 that he owes me. I thought it was great. I thought that him and his relationship with segueing into another villain, the Riddler, by Corey Michael Smith, was also fantastic. I mean, they both played their parts well, especially Riddler. I think that yeah, you're looking at the $100 that you owe me. Shut your mouth. I think that the
oh shit! I thought I was right. That's why I was smirking.
Whatever. That's why the portrayals work so well for me, because you had the Penguin, who I think the best portrayals of the Penguin in history have been this absolute bitch of a man who just talks. Honestly, he talks very big, and he has a lot of false gravitas about him that he thinks that he's very smooth or tough, or he's truly a boss.
I'm still laughing because you said this very bitch of a man.
Yeah, but you get what I'm saying.
That's spot on.
When he gets that boot put against him, he shrivels up and begs for mercy. My favorite scene was in Arkham City, when he was in the ring with Bruce Wayne, and Bruce Wayne beats up all of his thugs, and then he grabs him by the throat, and he starts screaming, he's like, please stop. And I'm like, you bitch, you little...
Like, throughout that series, Batman or Bruce just literally grabs him with one hand.
And he keeps trying him, though. That's the thing. He keeps thinking like, oh, I'm still better than you. No, you're not.
You're an idiot.
God, I hate him.
But with Penguin...
Right.
Another one, like Fish. At first, I was like, what the hell is this? I was like, this is stupid as hell. And I was wrong. So once I watched his arc develop, and like you said, you take that ride from when he was just this little, literally nobody, and they gave us a full... It was weird because you could tell right away there were certain people that this whole show was going to be focused on.
Right, yeah.
You knew he was one of them right away. You were like, yep, he's going to be an integral part of the show, and he's in almost every episode.
Right.
Same with Riddler. But over the development of the series, I grew to like him a lot, because when he makes that turn where he decides that he's just merciless, and I like that. That was great. Corey, who played the Riddler, I thought he was perfect. He really captured the essence of both Edward Nygma,
right,
and then also, because at many times he had to play both characters, where he had to play Edward Nygma and the Riddler.
I did like that kind of split personality vibe that they gave him.
That was cool.
And what I liked about him was they gave him the origin of working in the GCPD.
Yeah, how cool was that?
And I thought that was so neat. And he was so nerdy and weird, and he was super likable as a fan, in my opinion.
Yep. And they did a lot of callbacks to that later in the show. Like when he would be in the middle of I'm the murderous Riddler, then it'd be like, oh, well, I used to work with you, though. So, like, be nice with people.
I think that, and he was able to portray that almost scary kind of crazy in a really great way.
Yep.
And unlike the Penguin, when he got mad, you kind of felt it. You know, when he was serious, you felt that. And it showed in a lot of scenes. There was a scene towards the end where he got, I don't know if you remember, he got captured by that weird redneck family, and they tied him up to the car battery.
Oh,
you know, and he used his
Shocking
genuine intellect to get out of that, and it was excellent. You know,
there was a scene like straight out of the Arkham games they did. It was where Bruce and who was captured with Bruce? It might have been like Bruce and Jim or Bruce and Lucius. Take your pick. But the Riddler had them, and his voice came over the intercoms, and he was like telling them, "You're in a Riddler trap," basically. Right. And it was so sick because it was like straight from the games, and he talked
that
just
was
like that.
Jim and Eduardo. Jim and Bane. You remember before he became Bane?
I'm not talking about that one though.
Oh no,
it was farther back, and they were in like a gas chamber.
Oh,
I know which one you're talking about. That
was
I
do know what you're talking about. That was in the Doctor Strange thing. Not Doctor Strange, but
Hugo Strange.
Hugo Strange.
So you're not wrong.
Yeah, still Doctor Strange, but
wrong.
it was Hugo Strange had just captured them, and the Riddler took control. Yeah, that was again
cool.
A lot of really cool aspects to the Riddler, I think, and I loved that part of him. I thought that they gave him that master intellect, and they gave him that he's just absolutely batshit crazy.
I love that psychosis side, like we were talking about. Right. Literally split personality. Am I Ed? Am I the Riddler? And he literally goes back and forth. Sometimes he's one, sometimes he's the other. What was the girl that he was so fond of that he ended up murdering? What was her name? From like the very beginning.
Yeah, I don't remember, but the girl he had a crush on at the GCPD.
And then she ended up liking him.
Yeah.
And then he ended up killing her.
Yeah. Well, it was only because the Riddler gave him that confidence to step up. But I do agree. But we got I know not technically a villain in this show, but just I still consider her a villain / not villain, Catwoman by Cameron Bicondova.
Yeah.
What did you think of that portrayal of Catwoman?
From the very first episode when I saw her face
with
the hair, I was like, Selena Kyle.
Yeah, her eyes are super far apart, and it looks kind of she looks kind of cat-like.
She's cat shit crazy.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was a callback to, I almost said Sigourney Weaver, Michelle Pfeiffer.
Right.
Because she had that crazy curly hair in Batman Returns. And the second I saw this girl in Gotham, she had that same aesthetic, and I was like, Selena Kyle.
I will say, I didn't write down the name of the actress who played her in the finale, but she fit. Not only did she look enough like
she was beautiful,
the young actress Cameron, but she was gorgeous. She fit the role. If I had one thing, it's that there was one scene where she like kind of turned around, and I thought she was Barbara Keene.
Oh,
because they kind of looked similar, and then I was like, oh wait, nope.
I'd seen that actress in a lot of different shows.
Have you?
Yeah, one of them specifically was a show. Why can't I think of it? His name was Sheriff Hood. It was like a con man who became a sheriff. It's a great show. Anyways, but yeah, I'd seen her in many different things, and I knew she was a good actor. But yeah, that was a nice surprise because I didn't read anything prior to the finale, so I didn't know we were going to get adult versions of the characters like that. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, I didn't always absolutely love the portrayal of the young Catwoman by Cameron Bicondova. I didn't. There were just some times where it felt a little off character or a little. And maybe I'm being a little too harsh on that aspect because, again, they're all... She played that young Selena Kyle who was growing into her character. She wasn't always who she was.
Right.
But I will say that when she... Like, Ivy saved her with that weird whatever it was she had to eat, and she got, like, you know...
Oh, the magic peach pit?
Yeah, whatever it was. And they kind of gave you the idea that she was enhanced now. And she could see better at night, and she could, she was stronger and
she had like cat-like abilities.
Yeah, more agile. It was pretty cool.
That was pretty punny, wasn't it?
That was really punny. I'm so proud of you, Matt.
Thank you.
Just
Thank
Matt.
You so much.
Yeah, I think I did enjoy that kind of stuff. Again, it's hard for me to do these episodes just because I don't have much bad to say, but I will in a second when we talk about certain villains. And we're not going to go over every villain, obviously. I wrote down a bunch, but there's some that just aren't worth even bringing up.
I will throw in one point since we're right here. You talked about the younger version of Selena Kyle. There were many, many times throughout the show where the child Selena Kyle and the child Bruce Wayne annoyed the shit out of me. Like, I was just like, God, why are they
It was
even in
like
the
the
show?
worst Ross and Rachel will they won't they?
Yes,
Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, and they were just annoying as hell. And I get it. They were younger and blah, 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 blah. But I was just like, this is about Jim. Just let it be about Jim.
I will say that. And then there was a really great part during the Azrael kind of saga.
Mm-hmm.
The, oh, shit.
Theo Galavan?
Thank you. Theo
That was
Galavan.
one of my favorite parts of the show.
Theo Galavan. And he was great. I thought that he played a pretty good.
I loved it. I was shocked when he became Azrael. I was like, what?
His scenes were great, and his part in it was great. It was a shock to see him become Azrael because that's not who Azrael was.
Well, and that was like their version of that story, and I was like,
and I can't remember.
Very original.
I can't remember specifically, but if I do remember, I dug the costume they gave him. Like the
it
outfit.
was solid.
Yeah,
I mean,
the Azrael outfit was pretty dope.
For what they had for like a TV budget and what his suit looks like, I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty good. But what I will say is that when Theo found like the young girl to steal Bruce's heart and then backstab him, I was like, oh my God, this is this is the worst.
It's like he was too young to be doing like romance.
Right, yeah.
Like, God, this is stupid.
And I always, that's one thing I always thought about certain shows is when they bring these romance aspects into, and it's like children, right? And it's like, well, we don't give a fuck about this.
No one likes kids.
Well, they're kids. Like, we don't care what their hearts
I remember
think.
in that same arc, like, Bruce and that girl and like her friends would like go to the nightclubs and get wasted, and I'm like, you're like 14.
You know what? There was that scene. I don't remember when exactly it was, but it was again toward like right before the end of the 4th season or right at the beginning of the last season, and Bruce was like kept buying his way into these clubs and getting wasted.
And he was like on a bender.
Yeah, he was on a bender, and I was like, all right, I get he's rich, but is that how it works?
That's the kind of way I took it.
These clubs is just like allowing this.
Yeah,
like,
I kind of had to convince myself. I'm like, well, Bruce Wayne is so rich that like he can buy his way past the rules.
Because maximum at the end of the show, Bruce Wayne, the character, was like 15, right?
Yeah, something like that.
That was about the age that he was, and then he left.
Yeah.
I just found that interesting. I thought that was funny. And it's not totally unbelievable. I think that money in this world can buy you whatever you really
plus,
need.
Like we said, they set the tone with corruption. They probably like, what are you, 12?
Right,
okay,
yeah.
what do you want, a scotch and soda? But
Absolutely.
But Theo Galavan, overall, I dug him a lot because their story arc for him I thought was very original.
Right.
I didn't see it coming. He was corny as hell at times. I will be the first to admit that. Like, he was some of his dialogue and the way he portrayed it was very cheesy, but overall I dug him a lot. I liked Theo Galavan.
Yeah, but the actor's name is James Frain, and I think that those first introductory scenes where he like captured the supervillains or like broke them out, and he was orchestrating all the stuff for that Year of the Villain kind of season arc, he was intimidating to me. It was like I genuinely had that thought of, I don't know what he's going to do because he has the leash on the Joker right now, or who at the time was supposed to be the Joker.
I remember when he first came around too, they were kind of dangling like he was somebody.
Right.
But we didn't know who, so I don't know about you. I immediately went to Raish. I was like, is he Raish?
Did you really? I didn't.
Yeah, well, that's all I could think of. I was just like,
that's interesting.
Is he Raish? And then, of
I
course,
probably should have, because I can see where you got that.
Yeah.
But I didn't jump to that. I thought that, and it may have had to do with, well, that should have given me even more reason. But Tigress, Tabitha.
I love the actress.
Yeah, his sister. First of all, gorgeous.
Absolutely stunning.
She was definitely my like biggest crush on the show for a long time.
Barbara was for me at the beginning.
Absolutely, yeah.
God, she's beautiful.
She is very beautiful, and then the full-on crazy just started making you be like, back up.
I just missed her long hair because the whole show basically she had short hair because she was a villain.
And again, she looked amazing in the finale. She was very beautiful.
But yes, Tigress was.
Yeah.
She was cool because they made her a real badass.
Like, they made her a real. The one criticism I have is that I feel like by the end of her run in the show, they softened her too much.
Yeah, I was gonna say she did get soft because if you think back to when she first showed up, she was straight murking people.
She was
like, think about Penguin's mom. She
was
straight murdered his mom.
I mean, I agree. I think that it was very. That's the one criticism I have of that character. She was very cool. I enjoyed her scenes, and I thought she was badass. And then they just kind of softened her up too much.
I don't know where you have this one on the list, so I won't go too far. But I really enjoyed her dynamic with Butch.
that was the next one we're going to talk about.
That's what I thought maybe, because I loved Butch.
So Butch is my biggest criticism.
Really?
Because I love Butch. Butch Gilzine, that character was phenomenal.
I think I'm about to agree with you 100%.
Yeah,
Go
when
ahead.
they fucking made him Grundy, I wanted to punch everything. It just fight dance my way through the woods because that is one of my favorite villains of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And again, not to harp on the Arkham games, but that portrayal we got of Solomon Grundy, that big, terrifying, undead monster, that is to me Grundy.
Grundy was one that I never would have considered to be in Gotham, ever,
right?
Because of what you just said.
Yeah.
What they did, I think. Don't get me wrong, cool idea. Like on paper, like we found, kind of like with Azrael, we found out a way to make one of our main characters end up being a huge character.
Right.
Cool idea. I don't like the way it was executed, and I didn't like it at all, especially for how much I liked Butch.
Yeah,
I really, really, really liked Butch.
That's the confliction, is how much I like him as a character.
Yeah. And
I just didn't like anything about when they made him Grundy.
In turn, they kind of ruined Grundy by making him Butch. Because then he was just completely dumbed down.
And nothing about him fit the character itself.
No.
Nothing
and
about
that wasn't his fault either. He was trying to do with what he could. But
I think the one piece of solidarity they gave him was what you got to see when they're going through the files and they find Butch's file. Butch Gilzine is a fake name, and his name was whatever Solomon Grundy's actual name was.
Carlot? No, something I don't remember.
I don't know. I'm such.
They should have left it there.
I'm a fake fan,
but they should have left it there.
Exactly. That would have been a really
cool
Easter egg for the idea of someday that we're not going to see. He could be Solomon Grundy, but instead they fucked us with that. But there were still some other really solid villains. Namesake Ra's al Ghul. I thought they did a pretty killer job with Ra's al Ghul.
I like the guy that played him.
Yeah, he fit the part. I think that his name was Alexander Siddig, and I think that he did an excellent job. If there was one thing I didn't absolutely love, it was that maybe just the fact that he came to find Bruce rather than, I thought in my experience, or maybe I'm wrong. I thought that Ra's al Ghul kind of sought out Batman because of what Batman was. And when he finally encountered Batman, he was like, that is my true heir, No,
I always saw it as he knew Bruce would be his heir, but they go hand in hand. They're in tandem. Bruce is Batman.
Well, I know, but I didn't think that I didn't think it was this clandestine thing.
Well, they made it almost, that's a good point, because they made it like this version of the story like it was destiny.
Right,
like
he was meant to be that.
But I felt like he also knew how everything was going to play out, so it made more sense to me that he went after him as a kid, because he's like, well, I'm going to get killed by Barbara Keene. I know that's going to happen, but I know that the events that are going to, because he even told him, he said the events that are about to transpire are going to turn you into the Dark Knight that we need.
Right.
So instead of it happening and then pursuing his heir, like you were saying, they did it almost like in reverse. Like he's like, I know this is going to happen, so...
I'm not a fake fan. I just remembered
Cyrus
Gold. Ugh, you looked it up, didn't you?
No, it's always one of those things, like you could spout all this stuff up at any random time, but the second you're put on the spot, and then you feel like an asshole because you're like, here I am on my nerd-style comic book podcast, and I don't know shit.
Seriously, just for the record, people, it's Cyrus Gold.
What is Superman? Isn't his name Carl, Superman's alter ego? Carl Conway?
Yeah.
Is that his name?
No, Carl Brentwater.
Shit. See, I don't know anything.
No, yeah, my expert nerd brain remembered that, but it was really bugging me that I couldn't remember because I'm just like going on this thing about how he's like one of my favorite characters. And
somebody's name is like Boris or what's Clayface's name? I don't know that either.
I've never known, but to be fair, there have been like
I'm thinking of
4 different iterations of Clayface, especially like my first real introduction to Clayface having an alter ego was in the show The Batman on Cartoon Network or on WB. You know what?
Basil Karloff.
Basil Karloff,
or Carlo. That's what I was thinking. I was like, somebody's name is Carlo or something.
Yeah. The we didn't get any. Did we get any Clayface like?
Almost.
Easter
I
egg?
thought in the final season that the girl that could shapeshift, I thought they were going to say she was Clayface.
Was there a girl who could shapeshift?
Yes, remember she wore the white face mask, and she was the one that...
the witch?
No. She was the one that Harvey Bullock was a rookie cop, and the cops that they were working with ended up screwing her over.
Yeah.
But she could shapeshift.
That's
and I was
right.
Like, she's going to be Clayface.
And
but
she wasn't. Yeah, she wasn't. The
Croc, though.
I actually forgot about that. We kind of got Killer Croc, which we're not going to talk about because fuck that. I was so mad at that idea because again, I kind of did Killer Croc. I think I also was pretty upset about how they did him in the Suicide Squad movie.
Side.
Yeah, Suicide Silence.
I do that all the time. Suicide. But yeah, everything about that last season was so rushed. Like, oh yeah, here's Killer Croc. Like it was just so. That's what they did. They were in the sewer. They're like, oh yeah, here's Killer Croc.
Wait, which one are you talking about? I'm talking about the
monster in the sewer that was kicking the crap out of.
Oh, the one that they just mentioned. We didn't see him though.
Yeah, no, he totally fucked up people in the sewer.
Really?
Yeah.
That was Killer Croc?
Yes, it was when Jim and I would imagine Harvey or Bruce were going after some girl's husband that got lost in the sewers, so they went down after him, and that was Croc. That was down there.
Man, how do you have a way better memory than I do?
I just watched all this stuff.
I thought Killer Croc was, or the supposed Killer Croc was they made that the commissioner, Chickless's character.
That was the executioner.
Huh?
That was the executioner.
That was the executioner. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, considering he said, I'm the executioner.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'm an idiot. It's all right. Fake fan. Hashtag fake fan.
He's the thing.
So, he's the thing. How did you feel about, which I have a big opinion on, the only villain to get 3 different actresses, Ivy.
I thought it was cool, dude. Like, I really did. At first, I was like, what the hell? But I don't know if it's a mixture of the 2 adult women that got to play her were so beautiful, and I loved them both.
Right.
But I thought it was cool, like the way that they were saying her powers, it was almost like a metamorphosis every so often. Like, it would change her. And I dug it. I liked it a lot. And the fact that they're like, yeah, she's like 12 in all reality.
Right.
But you can tell she starts to really...
What I like... So I saw that third actress as a course correction. Because I didn't mind the little Ivy Pepper. You know, she's a kid and whatever. You know, she's about Bruce's age. Mm-hmm. I think they meant that to be a thing because that made sense. I think they course corrected twice with those actresses because I think they course corrected because people were complaining about Ivy Pepper being a little street hood rat and not being Pamela Isley.
You made me just think of Aladdin. You street rat.
I think that the second actress was that kind of course correction to put her in the more Ivy range, but they made her an idiot.
Yeah,
which was super. To me, was the frustrating part because Pamela Isley, who we all knew
as
scientist. Huh? Yeah,
the scientist
and the botanist. She was not by any means stupid. And I think they were trying to go for she's a child stuck in this older person's body.
See, that's the way I saw it. I didn't think of her as stupid.
But
I just thought of her as a kid.
I took it as stupid, personally. And then they course corrected again with the older, who was perfect. She fit that scene with Bruce trying to reason with her in that crypt was so insanely perfectly Ivy. The one thing I would have wished was that her powers were more of, like, yes, she had the gift of...
Plant related?
Well, she had the gift of sensing and feeling and talking to the plants, and you would see things blooming around her, but not necessarily she could have vines come up and, attack you or anything.
She definitely had the hormone manipulation.
Right, yeah.
Ivy's famous
all that
for.
Good stuff, yeah, she had, which I thought was pretty neat.
I thought that was so awesome when they were like, we have the witch. They're talking about the witch, and then it ends up being Ivy. I was like, how cool is that? Because her powers are scary, if you think about it. She's pretty scary. But I was so distracted with how gorgeous that final actress was. I didn't even know who she was. I was just like, who is this character? She's pretty.
Her name was Peyton List. Peyton List.
That's not Peyton List. Peyton List is Cameron Monaghan's girlfriend.
Oh, well, that's
she was in the show, I think, at some point. I can't remember.
I don't know. When I looked it up, it said Ivy played by Maggie Geha.
Yeah, that's the second one, I believe.
Claire
Fuqua.
Claire Foley.
Could be.
And then Peyton List. Maybe it was wrong. Maybe it had it listed wrong. But I don't know. All I do is write things I see on the internet.
Whatever.
Anyways, what I do know is that there were a lot of really badass women characters, mainly villains, but Barbara Keene we already talked about her a little bit. Barbara Keene was awesome. I loved her at the beginning. I had a big crush on her when, we first started the show. Then she went nuts and murdered her parents, which was a big twist. And then she became this all-out badass villain who never kind of slowed down. Like, she went through her complete psychotic area, but then she went into, yeah, I'm still like nuts, but I'm smart and I can run this shit. And she kind of linked together the Gotham City Sirens, which, especially with the Sirens Club that she had.
Yeah, Barbara was weird to me because I dug her, then I despised her. I felt she was a dumb character. Like, why are you still here? Then she served a great purpose, like what you just said, because then the Sirens came into play. And then, I felt like her place in the story was warranted towards the end.
I feel like they didn't know where they were going to end with her. Mm-hmm. I feel like they didn't know where they were going to put her. And I think what's interesting is with Jim getting married to Lee Tompkins and then still having Barbara's baby because of that one night of,
one night of fiery passion.
Yeah. I found that so interesting. But I think that earlier when she was a total lunatic and they were kind of teasing her being Harley Quinn, and everybody was pissed about it. Again, they did a lot of course correction.
I feel like this whole show was just, they were just spitballing.
I would have liked to. I always think of what would it be like if they said, well, stop being whiny bitches. We're going to do what we have planned. I'm so interested to know what a show like this would look like if it were 100% on plan with what they had originally thought, but regardless, what we got was Barbara Keene, a pretty interesting character who lasted the show. And, we got to see young Barbara Gordon, who just made us all excited.
See, I almost thought at certain points there was no Barbara Gordon, the daughter, in this story. Because I was like, oh, Barbara, that's going to be their Barbara. Like, that was it.
Right.
And then later you realize, oh, no, he really is going to have Barbara Gordon. Which in this story, that makes Bruce about 25 years older than Batgirl, if you think the events play out the same. Because she was a baby when he came back.
She wasn't a baby, though. She was a little girl.
Oh, that's right. She was a little girl. So he's like, about 20. No, I'm sorry.
She was like 5 or 6. So he's like 19 years older.
Yeah, and that seems about right.
I think it's a little bit of a gap, but maybe I'm wrong. But the other than that, again, I appreciated it. I thought that that all ended kind of where it should have ended. Yeah. Because I think as much as we hated her at a certain point, everybody who likes the show ended up, we didn't want her to die or, any of that. So they were like, all right, let's leave her in the show. And they named the daughter after her and Lee, Barbara Lee Gordon, which was cool.
I really had no doubt that Barbara was going to get killed after she had the child, though. I thought for sure they were going to kill her off.
Oh, I did
and then
too.
It was just going to be Lee, Jim, and Barbara Lee.
I will say one of the funniest scenes was the Lee Tompkins pushing her in the wheelchair when she was pregnant.
Oh, and she's shooting everybody.
Red Hood, Deathstroke, assassinating everybody with these pistols, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Her relationship with Lee was hilarious. Like, they're both
that was a fucking roller coaster, man.
They've both gone through psychotic stints because even Lee went through her moments. But
Lee went through that really badass, like, I'm just the doctor of the Narrows. Like, there are people here who need my help, and she's the savior. But then she did kind of turn into a crime lord down there.
Yeah, she annoyed the hell out of me sometimes.
And then that whole stint with the Riddler, that was... You know what? When I look back, I still stand by my rating and my love of the show. When I look back, there were some wacky fucking moments.
There is. Like, if you think about the beginning and then the end, that's one thing. But if you think about all the shit that happened in the middle, you're like, huh?
Really wacky chain of events. I loved it. Here's a character I'm super opinionated on. Victor Zsasz. How'd you feel about this Zsasz?
Loved it.
Did you really?
Yes, I hated it at first. I was like, this is so dumb. That guy is hilarious. I love him when he comes out because they completely were like, okay, he's not going to be that creepy serial killer.
Yeah,
he's funny. Like, he's a funny assassin.
That's kind of I still hated the character, like that portrayal. However, you can't not like the guy. Like, you
great.
Can't. You really can't. He was insanely funny.
Yeah.
And his quips were great. He had the perfect thing to say. but that was hashtag not my Zaz. Like, it just wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, in your head, you could literally just think he's somebody else.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't have any effect either way.
Yeah.
You'd just be like, okay, it's just an assassin.
That was a different character, just happened to be named Zaz, or Victor Zaz. But all in all, yes, I enjoyed him as a character in the show, if you think of him as just a separate iteration.
Yeah, take off the title as Zaz, and he's a great character.
Yeah, he really was. And I thought that even when they kept bringing him back towards the end, the parts that he was playing were just cool, at the end of that.
Yeah, because all that shit went down, and then he still tried to kill Jim.
Yeah.
And they're like, so you did that for real? And he's like, well, yeah.
I think what they did a good job was they made him imposing in that way. They just made him, he's so carefree and so good at what he does that you never thought. So when you see that scene of Jim getting the best of him or getting the better of him, it's almost like a testament to Jim Gordon, because they made him throughout that show. They made Zaz seem like, well, nobody could really take this guy down,
Jim had a lot of moments where you were just like, damn, dude, you're cooler than Batman.
Especially in like the first season. The first time he really gets into some knuckle scrappers, he impresses. And it's cool.
Him and Harvey's development in the first few seasons were like the highlight of the show for me.
Yeah.
I thought they were great.
I
I loved Ben McKenzie in this role.
What's his name? Is it Donald Logue?
Yeah, Donald Lowe.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, Ben McKenzie was great.
Yeah.
I think he even grew into the character perfectly. Donald Lowe was perfect as Harvey Bullock. From the first episode, I was like, that's Harvey Bullock.
Well, so when I was a kid, he was in a sitcom, I think, called The War at Home. Oh, no, that wasn't him. Which one was his?
Yeah, it was a very popular one.
Yeah, look it up. Look it up if you could. But he was in that sitcom. It was really funny. Grounded for Life was it? Grounded for Life. He was in Grounded for Life. Very funny sitcom. And then when you get older, I'm a huge fan of Sons of Anarchy. He was a huge kind of antagonist in season 4 of Sons of Anarchy.
That's funny you said that, because I just saw the Sons of Anarchy on his filmography.
Yeah.
And I've seen Sons of Anarchy and loved it. I don't remember him in the show.
Oh, yeah, he was a big part, and I loved him. His sister in the show was killed by one of the members in prison. She was like a prison nurse.
Dude, spoilers. Jeez.
What, you haven't seen
people? No, people might be listening to this for Gotham, and you're spoiling Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah, the Sons of Anarchy that ended 4 years ago.
Disregard everything you just heard.
Anyways, he was really great in that. So you saw that he could do a very dramatic, piece.
I did, and then Opie died.
Huh? Fuck off. The mix of that comedy and drama in Harvey Bullock worked so well.
And alcohol.
He was
always a boozer.
Jim Gordon went through a little alcoholic phase there when he left the GCPD and then was like, I'm a contract mercenary.
Well, I liked in the show for the longest time, like, they didn't make it a secret. Like, Jim struggles with the fact that he's not always a good person. Like,
oh yeah,
he does bad shit and, questionable stuff. And I don't know. It was pretty cool. Great character development.
All right. So we're down to the meat and potatoes of these villains, like my favorites right now. And I want to know what you think personally, because I'll tell you, everyone on this list I absolutely love, except for one. Maybe I just saw one that I don't.
Fire away, Cotton.
Mad Hatter. How did you feel about that Jervis Tetch iteration?
I'm not a Mad Hatter fan.
Really?
So I wasn't a fan of this one either.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was perfect.
Nah.
I thought it was very fun and very weird, and it fit the character excellent.
I thought the guy that played him was good. I liked his performance.
Yeah. I thought he was kind of a pretty boy, though, to be playing this kind of deranged Mad Hatter character.
Yeah. Well, he seemed pretty wackadoo to me.
No, yeah, he was good.
But I've never been a Mad Hatter fan. Ever.
Really?
I've still
that's
not.
That's so weird to me.
Don't care.
And that's fine. I mean, again, opinions are opinions.
Just preference.
I loved that idea of within this Batman mythos, there was somebody who was so obsessed with another mythos, being the Alice in Wonderland, that it brought us the Mad Hatter and Tweedledee and Tweedledum and all these little segment of villains that are based on that. So I always thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I skip over all of them.
Yeah.
I don't like them.
All right, Victor Freeze.
I'm a big, so on the other side of the spectrum, I'm a big Mr. Freeze fan.
Yeah.
I like that they stuck to the Nora storyline here. Like, that was his...
In an interesting way. Yeah. I didn't mind it at all.
That was very cool.
Yeah, creative.
For, again, kind of like with what we were saying with Azrael, what they did with their budget and it being a TV show,
Yeah.
I think his aesthetic worked.
I didn't hate
Pretty cool.
anything
No,
about
I
it,
thought it was cool.
especially the later versions when he came back and when you saw that.
I know who the one is. It just popped in my head when you said I like everybody on this list.
Oh, I bet you don't.
Yeah,
I bet you don't know
do.
who the one is.
But we'll get there.
When the No Man's Land happened and it showed that all they were claiming their areas, and it showed Freeze come out and he had the gun on his shoulder, he looked great.
Yeah, he looked very good.
I was so okay with that, and I think
his episode where he becomes Mr. Freeze,
right,
that was a great episode.
Yeah,
overall.
really solid episode.
It was just one of the best. It was good.
And
Very good.
I think that he personally embodied kind of that, a mixture of kind of the Paul Dini Batman the Animated Series Freeze with a little edgier, I'm kind of just a dick style, but I dug it.
No complaints. He was good. He was
okay,
solid.
who's the one you think I don't like?
Eduardo.
Oh, I didn't even fucking write that. That's not even on the list.
So I was right technically.
I
'cause
forgot
you didn't
about
even
Bane.
acknowledge him.
I forgot about Bane. No, I dug it. I thought he was cool.
Well, do you want to just talk about Bane now then?
Sure.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I didn't think I would. So I have learned a very valuable lesson over the last few years when it comes to comic book anything. When you see a screenshot of somebody like in costume or something for the
Right.
first time, until you see it in context, you're not seeing what you're going to see kind of thing.
Totally. I
When I saw the screenshots, I was like, he looks ridiculous. He looks stupid. This is dumb. What the hell is this?
Mhm.
When he came into the show, do I think they took a lot of inspiration from Tom Hardy's Bane? Absolutely. All the way from his speech. Hell, he even did the whole grab his shoulders. When Tom Hardy
Yeah.
did that whole grab your chest armor thing, where
Right.
he just that's like iconic to me now
Yeah.
for some
It
reason.
was very cool.
But I thought that version of Bane was really cool because it was more. He was just a mercenary. Like, that's all he was. Like how Bane is. Like, he was just a straight up mercenary, but they gave him a super suit.
I will say that looks wise, I give him a 4. I didn't love his looks at all.
I thought the mask was fine.
I thought the mask was
But
fine.
everything down was not fine.
But also the spiky haircut to me didn't fit.
See,
and,
that was weird too, because why didn't you just give him almost like a Mortal Kombat-esque kind of thing? Like, you know how like with Scorpion and
Yes.
Sub-Zero where they just have the
100%. I agree.
And then that would have almost looked like a traditional Bane.
Yeah.
Because he would almost have... It's not a luchador
He should have
mask,
shrouded his head, is
Yeah.
what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would
You know
help.
what? I agree. He didn't have to go full luchador. I agree with that too.
I've
but
never actually cared to see a luchador Bane.
I like it. I don't know. I kind of dig it. But the
What about the BDSM Bane from Batman and Robin?
no. You know what? That if you ever fucking bring up that again, you're off the show.
What, the BDSM Bane from
Yeah.
Batman and Robin?
I don't like thinking about that movie.
You don't want me to bring up the BDSM Bane from
that
Batman and
movie
Robin?
sucked. even
Are you talking about Batman and Robin?
Yeah. What was her name? The one from Kill Bill who played Ivy. What's her name?
Uma Thurman.
Uma Thurman.
Uma.
Fuck her. That was just a bad movie.
You know, all four...
George Clooney was the best part of that movie.
I should rephrase this. You know that the two greatest Batman movies and then those two that came after are all coming back to theaters for one night. And I'm going to see Batman and Batman Returns.
Yeah, I would totally go.
Yeah, I'm going to those.
When
if
is
you
that
want to
happening?
come, it's in a couple weeks, I think.
Yeah.
It's in celebration because they are releasing the original Batman on 4K. So I will, of course, buy like my 6th copy of the original Michael Keaton Batman.
Yeah, for sure. I'd love to. I'll go with you. I mean,
Yeah, it's like a one night only
Yeah.
event, and they do it. I don't think it's every week. It's like every consecutive day. Like
Right.
night 1 Batman Returns, night 2 or night 1 Batman, night 2 Batman Returns.
there's a film festival, not like a festival, but kind of like a thing that happens every year for like anime fans. It's called Studio Ghibli. It's a really great Hayao Miyazaki films that are just really amazing, and they do every year. They kind of do what they call Miyazaki Fest, but it's really every week they show in theaters one of these movies, and they started all the way back in like the 80s, and they're just amazing movies. And we used to do that like every year because we go see Spirited Away or Howl's Moving Castle.
There's some big anime thing about to come into theaters soon. My roommate was just talking about it. It's like the end of some famous anime all these years later or something. I can't remember.
I have no idea.
Code Geass? Does that
Oh,
sound
really?
familiar?
Yeah. Kind of, yeah.
Now, granted, I could be blending different things that he told me because I'm not, I have nothing against anime, but I'm not into it.
No, yeah, I know.
Only one I've ever watched, well, 2. I watched Dragon Ball Z just like I think everybody else my age did when we were young.
Right.
It was cool. I don't know everything about it. And Guyver is the only one I've ever completed, the bio boosted armor, because I'm a Guyver fan.
I'm not a huge like weeb or anything, but I am into like a lot of the darker kind of like Death Note and I did like Naruto and Dragon Ball Z and stuff like that.
There are some that I've like seen, like I don't know if I call them trailers, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Bits
and they
pieces.
look really cool because I've always loved animation because you can do anything you want in that world.
Oh, absolutely. That's what made stuff like Gundam Wing or Mobile Suit Gundam, like the old Gundam shows, like really great.
Yeah.
And that's what makes things like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And like these just weird things. That's what makes them popular because you can do whatever you want. They build these whole worlds around them. That's what's fun about those Studio Ghibli films is one of my favorites called Spirited Away. And it's just this whole world that you kind of can't imagine came out of somebody's brain, but they did, and it's fantastic. And on
people
film,
are so creative.
Really creative shit. But
and perverted. I've seen a lot.
Yeah,
a lot of anime that is.
We don't need to talk about that.
But no, I made the joke the other day. Somebody was like, "Oh, well, you don't like anime?" And I was like, "How could I ever talk shit about anime when I literally will watch DC animated films 90 times in a row, talk about them all day? It's the same shit. It's just a different animation style."
You and me are on the same page. We don't really like fandom shame around here. It's just
whatever. I think it's cool. Everybody has different interests, and
whatever you're into, It's cool. But I would love to go see those.
There are some things where I'm like, "Yo, dude, you should go talk to somebody."
I would love to go see those Batman films. That'd be really cool to see in theaters. I would. The '89 Batman would be amazing.
You want to get nuts?
You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. That's my favorite stupid scene from that movie. But that'd be really cool to see in theaters. If you can find out the dates, we'll talk about them on next weekend's show. And so you guys can know that we're not just or just Google it.
Unless it already happened. And then
you guys already...
It's either in like 2 weeks or a month, if that makes sense. It's like the beginning of this month or the beginning of the next month. I don't even know what month we're in right now, so I won't say.
Fuck it. But that'd be really cool to see. But no, so Bane wasn't my least favorite. I did have those issues with his looks, but other than that, and I think he overdid the voice sometimes. Sometimes I would hear it and it sounded, his cadence would kind of waft off in a weird, like, overcorrect way. But other than that, he was pretty solid.
I told you, I think they were just trying so hard to mimic Christopher Nolan's Bane at times.
Yeah, except for again the design. My least favorite was, and it's not even like in a bad way, but Firefly.
She sucked.
And
it has nothing to do with it being a woman.
No, of course not. But it had to do with, I really like Firefly because, again, he's like this arsonist who's so compelled to burn things.
Yeah, wasn't he like a Hollywood stunt actor?
I think so. I think it really depends on the iteration. But the
turned terrorist.
He was like so compelled and compulsed to burn things, and he ended up catching himself on fire and burning like 80% of his body. And then, he was like, I don't even know where he got, because like in the later iterations, he has like mad tech, like really cool tech. Mm-hmm. But he's just like, all right, fuck it, Batman, I'm going to burn everything. And like in the Arkham games, he's I'm going to burn Gotham to the ground.
Yeah, he's got that raspy, like, hey, Bats.
Yeah. And it's cool. So I'm not going to say he's been one of my favorite characters of all time. But cool. I did kind of think it was a soft Firefly in this show. It was weird. And they made her seem very unimportant, which I didn't like.
It was a Firefly for the sake of saying that Firefly.
Yeah, just having her in there as Firefly just for the sake of saying Firefly.
Yeah,
but
I agree with you on this. We can graze past her.
I will say just on her, though, that one episode where it was her episode.
Yes, her origin.
That was a solid episode.
It was cool.
Yeah.
Like, she had a great origin, but her as Firefly sucked.
Then they dumped her later in the
and I'm sorry, I keep looking over here, but Saturday, May the 4th is Batman.
Oh,
Monday,
Star Wars Day. We're getting Star Wars Day with a Batman movie?
Yep, and Monday, May the 6th is Batman Returns. And who gives a shit about the two after?
I'm working both of those days, so that's fantastic.
I actually saw the two after in theaters when they first came out, unfortunately. Batman Forever and that one that we don't speak of. Voldemort Returns.
That movie, which shall not be named. One of my favorite villains, though, that we got such a good interpretation of, and I really hope you agree with me on this, Professor Pig was awesome.
Yeah, he was good.
That was solid. He was terrifying. I loved when he made them eat the human pies, and Penguin takes the first bite to save because he wants to save the boy, and he eats, and then he like literally is like, "You all start eating, or I will kill every fucking one of you." And I'm like, "Oh my god, this is," and there it's nauseating because you can see it's just raw like human inside these pies.
And they did the like the classic. I say classic. Professor Pig. He's not that old as a character, but with the classical music playing on the record player.
Yeah, all of those really great.
Yeah, he was very
creepy
well done.
elements I thought that they brought into it, and
that episode specifically showed throughout the show. You notice when the villains show you that all villains have an origin where they weren't bad, and Oswald is a good example, and especially like what you just said. Even then, he showed he's not completely bad. He saved that boy.
Right.
Like that's what's cool. These characters have depth.
He had a heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
And then other than that, we got one which is only worth a mention because it was cool. We did get Scarface in the second to last episode with Mr. Penn.
Dude, that the conversation between the four of them, I will say. Because it's Scarface,
Mr. Penn,
Riddler, and Penguin. That was great. That was hilarious.
That was pretty funny.
Because like Riddler starts talking to Mr. Penn, and he's like, "Hey, over here!" And he's like,
and
sorry.
the puppet looked great.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he was. I mean, I thought it looked very good, and it hit me then that guy, Mr. Penn, he looked perfect for the role. Like when he had the puppet on his hand, I was like, oh, that makes the most sense of anything.
But like a total boss, one of my favorite Riddler scenes of the whole show is when he just put a bullet in his head. He's just like, shut up.
Yeah, absolutely. And then of course we got Scarecrow. How'd you feel about that?
This is another example of I dug their origin story of the character.
Me too. Yeah, very much.
Like, and again, that episode specifically was a very good episode. They wrote solid origins.
Insanely good. And then they underutilized him completely.
That, and they just didn't execute on some of these people very well.
And they gave him this weird big round head when they gave like when he had the Scarecrow mask on. It was like this, I don't know.
It was very curved.
Yeah, it was very curvy and like bulbous. And I was like, this is kind of
the kid that played...
which one?
Professor Crane. Sorry, I couldn't think of his name. The kid that played Crane, that played Scarecrow. The first one.
The father or the
son?
The son.
The actual Scarecrow.
The first kid was David Thompson.
Yes, and I'd seen him in other shows too, and I was like, this is not who I would want to see become the Scarecrow. And then it translated to when he got the mask, and he was like, hi, how are you doing? I'm the Scarecrow. And I was like, oh my God, this sucks.
Yeah, it was weird. And then, of course, we're not going to talk about the Joker just yet because we're going to do that just here in a minute when we're talking about...
That's 3 more characters.
Huh?
That's 3 more characters.
Well, I want to focus on, if I'm being honest, just Jeremiah.
Why? You don't want to focus on the best one?
You don't think Jeremiah really rocked it?
No. Jerome was the star of the show.
Fuck it. Let's go. Go ahead and talk about Jerome.
Wait, who's left?
Huh? Jerome.
No, I'm just saying, was there anybody left?
No, that's it.
Well, you said before we talk about the
Joker. Because I just wanted to go through... There were a couple of Easter eggs.
Yeah,
let me do that real quick.
Let's do that.
There were a couple of Easter eggs through the show that I wanted to give honorable mention to because I loved them so much. Tommy Elliott being the first one. Who will grow up to be Hush, Thomas Elliott. We did get him in the first season, and that was the first person Bruce punched in the face.
See, and that was so long ago, I don't even remember that. I'm sure I did at the time, like, recognize, that's Hush, but...
so what was cool is he, like, was bullying Bruce, and then Alfred was saying something about, he's like, you two used to be best friends, and, like, you guys hung out all the time, and it gave you that little bit of, because they were when they were kids. And then, so you got, that was only one episode, and you got him, and I loved it. I thought it was a really cool Easter egg. My favorite Easter egg in all of Gotham was in the last season. Selena Kyle fights. There's only one of them, but Selena Kyle fights the mutant gang leader. And he looked just like from The Dark Knight Returns.
I was shocked when they showed him. I was like, wow, straight from the pages.
I was freaking out. My jaw was on the floor, and I was so in love because it looked perfect. Yeah, they gave him the fucking visor and the mohawk and the pointy nipple things.
Yeah,
they gave him like, he looked great. He looked just like from the comic.
They nailed that.
And again, that's my favorite. So I thought, it was like, wow, nailed it. And then they brought him back a couple episodes later just to give that really cool fight with enhanced Selena. And I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, they did a great job. Like I just said, straight from the pages with that one. He looked exactly the same.
And then we had 3 there. I only have a couple more written, but we got Queen Consolidated. We did get to see a building with the big green Q on it.
Like Freddie Mercury, Queen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And Brian May runs it now.
Gotcha.
But
oh, you meant Green Arrow.
Oliver. How
I
could you
get
have
it.
gotten that confused?
I'm so sorry.
No, so we did get the Queen Consolidated. So we know at least that it's a part of that world,
Is
right?
he 12 also, like Bruce?
I don't know. That's a good.
Like two
That's a really
12-year-olds
good
running
question.
these mega billion-dollar companies.
Now this took place over like a whole. This wasn't so much an Easter egg as it was like a story arc, but we got the Court of Owls, which again I thought was a really neat thing to introduce.
Yeah, that one sucked too, just like the one in the books.
Absolutely fucking monster. Disagree. I thought that it was cool though that they brought it in early.
Yeah, that was good.
Because now it's like this is a part of the Batman history rather than him finding out when he's 40.
And again, giving credit to like how badass Jim Gordon is, no pun intended, they were trying to court him. Like they wanted him to be a part of the Court of Owls.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another like credit to him. Like
Yeah.
he's a badass.
And I enjoyed that whole arc personally, but the I thought that was cool because again, I am a big fan of that storyline. But and then we also got in like season 2 maybe when Maroni, that was who the other mob boss was.
Right.
He was working on plans to build Arkham City.
Really?
You don't remember that?
The first couple, I remember I watched them only
Yeah.
when they premiered. So
Okay, fair
it's been
enough.
years.
Yeah, they absolutely did. They even had it laid out, and he talked about it in one of the because something about Thomas Wayne was working on it, and or he contributed something to it before he died.
I've noticed in recent like story arcs with Batman,
I know
like,
what you're
they
gonna say.
always make Thomas
Yeah.
involved in some shady
They're making
shit.
him a dick.
Like
I don't
I'm starting
know
to
why.
believe that he was a villain.
Well, they redeemed him because it like something came out that he was working on this. Then he didn't realize how bad it was, and then he tried to stop it, and that led to him being murdered. So, yes, but like in Batman Damned, he like there's a lot of these pages where they're showing like he's like cheating on Martha and like he's just like a dick of a
Not
person.
Martha.
Yeah, like it's really bad. But I thought that the Arkham City kind of thing was really cool because again, it just gave you that throw into the future. But so let's go back to the Joker. How do now
So we
I
got
see where you're
Jerome, Jeremiah, and Mr. J, correct?
I see where you're coming from, Jerome was awesome, and he was very much the Joker for that time span. They fucked up doing the New 52, cut off his face, and then put it back.
I didn't really care for that too much.
That whole thing was a little out there, but his mannerisms, everything he did, it was very Joker-esque, and I thought that Cameron Monaghan, he was fantastic.
My favorite scene that he ever did in the show, across all of his iterations of Joker, was his first appearance when he was just the normal kid and he's sitting in the interrogation room and he makes the switch for the first time, and I was like,
he's doing the
holy
fake
crap.
He's doing the fake crying, and he
Yep.
upturns his face to that laugh.
That shit was chilling.
And that was absolutely chilling.
The second he did that, I was like, this is the perfect person. They cast the perfect guy.
I loved him in Shameless. I watched Shameless
did
for a
too.
long time, and I thought he was great.
That's what I knew him from first.
And I thought I actually came in after that, and I still haven't caught up. But he was great. And,
Ian Gallagher. That's his name.
And he, I thought he was really good. What I liked about Jeremiah, the reason that's to me my Joker, is he came in like as a normal person, kind of as well. He wasn't. I thought that we were gonna get like he's crazy and he's hiding it, but he wasn't hiding it. And then Jerome left him the Joker gas and fucked his life up, and it warped him.
That
you know what
was
I
pretty
mean?
cool.
So Jerome's last like gift to Gotham was creating this monster post-mortem, right?
Yep.
And that scene in itself, the recording of his voice and chilling as well. It was very well done. And you saw he still wasn't fully the Joker, right? So you could see his skin had paled a little, and he was wearing like the nice suits, the purple.
Remember that very Jack Napier? That very the very Batman esque scene where he's on the steps at the city hall.
Yes.
And he's wearing the same, like, it's like the same thing from the scene in Batman where he goes up and stabs the guy with the pin in the neck.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though.
That was cool.
It was very good, but he still wasn't like manic or the Joker, right?
No.
Until we got that Killing Joke origin of him falling into the chemicals, and it completely warped him. And then what I didn't realize is I'm gonna move forward because we're in the finale now. That whole him sitting there brain dead, and then the Riddler like stabbing him in the leg.
He said, "If you're gonna mess with him, do it right."
Yeah, and he just drool drips from his lip, and you find out he's faking being comatose this whole time. That was straight out of The Dark Knight Returns as well, because if you remember, when the Batman went away, the Joker went catatonic, and he just didn't do anything until Batman came back, and his reason for living, his reason for being what he is, comes back, and he finally stands up and says, all right, I'm ready to be crazy again.
That was another White Knight-esque thing, too, because I remember Joker was invited on talk shows, and his therapist was like, oh, he's okay now. You can talk to him.
No, that was The Dark Knight Returns.
That's what I'm saying, but it was very, like, White Knight.
Oh,
took
yeah.
notes from that, I think,
Yeah,
in a sense,
absolutely.
because I forgot about that whole part of
And then I love that because he's like, I'm going to kill everyone in this room. And he breaks the mug and, like, slices his therapist's throat. That was awesome. But I thought that they took, that's what's great is that they didn't necessarily just adapt a storyline, but they took the best notes from these classic storylines and gave us those kind of Easter eggs.
Yeah, because Jerome, very new 52.
Yes, very much
which
so.
I thought he was the best because he was the first Joker that I can think of on film that was just straight, like, mania. Like, he just was murdering and just going. And
no,
just
I mean, I really
murderous.
don't have a bad thing to say about his performance when it came to that.
Yep.
I think as far as character development goes, I really appreciated you had Jeremiah who was hit with the gas and it warped his mind, but he still wasn't fully Joker and he was cool, calm, and collected. But you saw those inklings of him trying to stifle. He started like giggling he like had to stifle that back because he didn't want to be Jerome.
Yep.
And then he finally went full. And then, of course, in the finale, he's taunting James Gordon, holding Barbara over the chemicals. And he's like, no, not Jeremiah, not anymore. Something else, something. And his first name he says is Jack, which is obviously a throwback to Jack Napier. And he's throwing out these things. I was kind of afraid. I thought that even if they did it the corny way, I was hoping he was just going to say the Joker. And, we would finally hear him say it out loud. They didn't. Nope. They're pussies. Fuck them.
I thought that final version, which I guess is supposed to be the Joker, was Cameron's weakest performance.
Really?
And, yeah, because his like accent, if you watch that scene,
I 100% agree.
Constantly changes, and you're like, what are you trying to do?
Whatever accent he put on, which is weird because, right, so he has this stellar performance throughout.
Yeah, the first two, and then the normal version.
I just want to know where the accent is supposed to have come from.
I don't know.
It just happened. And
I hated it, and I hated the bald. I just did not like that.
I
version
loved his look. I think it was different. I loved the sprouts of hair that will never, he just had wisping on his head.
So much.
To me again, and that's just each his own because I really thought it was like creepy. He looked like Jeepers Creepers to me, and it was really creepy. I will agree that fucking accent was whack. I don't know what he was doing.
And I was just so, like we just said, I was just so like surprised because his performances had been so good.
Yeah,
and I was like, this one almost seems kind of half-assed.
Yeah, it seems like he was really going for a character choice, and it just unfortunately didn't work out.
So I gave him a pass because he had done so well for the whole show that, okay, you're one time in this finale, whatever.
Yeah.
You're good.
But regardless of which of those iterations is your favorite Joker, this is where you and me differ. Differ. This is where you and me differ. I genuinely enjoyed this finale. I have two big criticisms. One we just spoke about, which was that Joker accent. I will admit, but we immediately he gets hit by the batarang, and then he gets another batarang through the fucking hand, and I was like, yes, that was amazing.
He dome shots him after that. He's like, just hits him right in the forehead.
I do wish if I can add. Actually, I just thought of a third one. I wish that we would have seen Bruce Wayne. Right.
Thank you.
I do wish we had seen Bruce Wayne, but the finale was so fan servicey. It's impossible for me not to like. They gave us adult Selena Kyle breaking in, dodging all the lasers, and using her nails to break, cut the glass and steal the diamond. That was so classic Catwoman. I loved it. Cool. We got, of course, Bruce, watching over her, and we did get that little talk. So we got to hear Batman at least, where he, comes up behind her and she's like, leave me alone or whatever. You just left. Do you know what that did? And, he kind of got, put the diamond back. I love how he's like.
That was great where he said, put the jewel back or whatever.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, right.
Yeah, like hell. And I thought that was great. Jim Gordon's mustache, we got big fan service with
troll.
The mustache.
That was so mean.
We got a lot of fan service with I think a lot of things with the Riddler itself and the Penguin who was clearly wearing pillows under his.
Yeah, that was awful.
I don't even care because the Riddler and him, they were back and they were full on Riddler and Penguin.
What did he tell him? He goes, "You looks like you let yourself go a little bit there, bud."
Yeah, I think he says thicker in the middle. He's a little thicker in the middle. But and you can see the Penguin being like, "What?" Yeah. But then so they were in their final kind of forms, and I loved all of it. I thought that it was super cool. The biggest criticism I have is we got the unveil of what is eventually going to be the bat signal, right? And then him and Harvey and somebody else is standing on the roof. Was that Alfred? Okay, so Alfred was up there with them. And they're standing on the roof, and they see a mile away, apparently, in the dark, Batman standing on the corner of that. The only problem I have with that is when it pans in or zooms into him, he is standing in the most awkward stance, and it was so not Dark Knight intimidating stance. He was standing with his gut sticking out and his back curved, and he had this stupid fucking look on his face.
Well, I had to look at it again. I'm like, did they try to CGI that to look like David Mizzou?
They couldn't have.
I was like, is that really an adult? But they're trying to make his face look similar to the kid.
You think they would have done that with just the mouth that you saw?
Sure. It's 2019. You can do whatever you want. You can marry a toaster if you want to.
Fair enough.
But no, that was probably my biggest thing. I'm sorry. So they did a lot good with the whole Batman vibe. Like when he was talking to Gordon and he was like, "I'm not your enemy." And he was doing that typical Batman.
And again, I love that.
They nailed that. That was great. But when I saw him at the end, I'm like, I'm sorry, dude. I would never in a million years be intimidated by you.
I didn't. You know what? And I will say I didn't hate the bat suit. The
bat suit was dumpster fire. It was trash.
See, I disagree. Again, to me, we're looking at still kind of a year one-esque, right? So that's just an early iteration. He's not in his final form by any means. He's in his entry level.
Yeah, but dude.
Come on,
you're being. Sucked.
I think you're being harsh, but again, to each his own. Everybody has their opinion, but
then
I think that if you look at it for what it is, it was fine. I just didn't like he was in this awkward stance that to me was not intimidating. I would have liked him literally crouching over and holding onto the gargoyle.
Yeah, he just looked really stupid.
Yeah, that would have made more sense to me. But
I'll backtrack too and be the yang to your yin. That sucked at the end. That was horrible. Joker sucked overall. The episode should have been 2 hours long. Everything was way too rushed. Just from the second it starts to the second it ends, it was just so.
I disagreed in one sense. Is that the first half of that episode, I thought was fairly paced, and then you got into this weird transition of everything is rushed. So they started and ended this whole something's gonna get bombed in a very quick matter of time. And I agree. They should have made it a 2-hour episode and fleshed that out a little better.
But my biggest one, and you actually just touched on it, was so by not showing Bruce, I think they were trying to add some mystery. To me, it felt more like a cop-out. It was more like we don't know who's going to play Bruce. Let's not even worry about it.
No, because I don't know exactly, but I think I know exactly why. Because did you just kick the table?
What if I did?
The fuck? Guys, if you could hear that in the recording, please give us a like. The plan originally was for them to CGI David Mizzou's face onto an adult.
That's what I just said. I thought the very last shot was.
I know,
sure
but
that's what it is.
They were going to do that just for the Bruce Wayne shot, right? So we were supposed to get that as Bruce Wayne. I think they couldn't do it to where it looked good on their budget. and they just scrapped it, so we didn't get Bruce Wayne at all. And I think
I mean, you didn't even see somebody from behind or anything. Like, I'm like, God, that was just
yeah,
cheap.
it was a very much like Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego kind of thing. The whole episode, where's Bruce? Have you seen Bruce yet? Well, when Bruce gets here,
where's Bruce?
I would have really liked, I think, just heartfelt moment before we got the Batman. I would have really liked like a reunion with James and Bruce, like James seeing Bruce for the first time in 10 years, knowing the relationship they had through the whole series.
Well, yeah, because they even made it a big deal when he went to pick up little Barbara from Big Barbara.
Right.
She said, "Have you spoken to him?" Like they made it known it was a big deal. Like, you guys spent a lot of time together. And she's like, "Have you spoken to Bruce?" And he's like, "No, I haven't heard from him yet."
I'm an idiot. I just realized that baby was born at the end of the season before Bruce left.
Yeah, and it was 10 years later.
If Bruce is gone, that means that kid's 10 years old, right? Which I wouldn't have picked out.
And he's probably 25.
I wouldn't have picked out of a crowd, by the way.
Oh, well. But yeah, like they tried to let you know, like, yeah, they have a very close-knit relationship and it's a big deal. Didn't see him, like you said.
Right.
I think it would have been more important to see his reunion with Alfred prior to doing all of his stuff. Because Alfred, I mean, he gave his whole heartfelt thing. He's like, I'm not going to replace your parents, but you're my son. Like, I love you like you're my son.
Yes, and I do agree with that. The reason I would have taken a Jim reunion over Alfred is only for the fact of I did like the whole Alfred continuously is covering him in the episode because he's already clued into the plan. So we already
he's probably there like 2 weeks prior, and they're like, "Oh yeah, he's landing in today."
Well, that's what I'm saying. So we already have an Alfred who's like Alfred. He's in Alfred mode now. He's in this is happening, and we had that really great conversation between him and Lucius.
I was just about to bring
and Lucius was like, when Bruce told me what he was planning, I didn't. And so Lucius and Alfred are officially on board for being the behind the Batman.
Yep.
And
that was pretty cool.
And, Alfred gives him that kind of, well, if we're going to go along with this, then we need to be top notch and all that kind of stuff. So I wanted to see that more than I wanted to see a reunion with Alfred.
I'm just laughing now because you made me think of when they go to pan onto Batman. Like, that was really far away.
Yeah, it was. It was so far away. To
tell you the truth, like, I thought he was on a closer building.
Yeah.
Did you see what I'm thinking of?
Yeah.
Like, you think you see him, and then it goes for like another 20 minutes.
They show the shot up, and I'm like, oh, there he is.
Like, he's right there.
And then it keeps panning. I'm like, oh, that's not him. And then it's even farther on this corner, and I'm like, I would have never fucking seen him in a million years.
No, never. I did like, too, when Riddler and Penguin are walking down the street like, let's go, and then they see him jump. They're like, we'll go in the morning.
Which, that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I will say that him jumping across the rooftop and the cape, doing just in the movement that it made, and they were like, tomorrow, and I love that.
They honestly, like, I wish they would have never done a close-up shot of him. They should have left it with the seeing him jump from rooftops, see the shots from behind, like that kind of stuff.
I think the reason that we needed it is because of okay, you remember Smallville? Remember how pissed people were that we never got a full Superman?
I feel like it would have been cooler, and now, mind you, we're talking about Batman here, so I think you're going to know what I'm going to say.
Right.
If they'd have panned up, and then, like, you see a rooftop, and then, like, lightning flashes, and then you just see him standing up there with the cape swirling out in the wind.
Isn't that kind of what we got, though?
No, you got this stupid ass.
We had the lightning behind him.
Or no, well, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's real more like a silhouette. You don't even have to see him.
Like Batman the Animated Series.
Exactly.
Kinda.
Thank you.
Again, I think he would have looked more intimidating if he were hunched over on the gargoyle, like perched on it, like ready to pounce. Like that's the image of Batman I love. Not like somebody just awkwardly standing up straight on the corner of a building. Yeah, like your fucking tattoo.
Yeah,
we're going to put a picture of that on the Facebook page.
So,
yeah, like that, so you know what I'm talking about.
I think he'd have been, this version of Batman would have looked more intimidating if he wasn't in the shot. But that's just me.
Jesus.
I hated that finale so much.
And again, I enjoyed it. I'm going to watch it again tonight just because I really want to like soak in some of the Easter eggs.
Are you going to watch Pennyworth?
No, I can be honest. I'm not going to watch Pennyworth.
I saw...
It's only on this really bizarre...
It's like Epix or something.
Yeah, it's like on the Epix app or something.
But the weird thing is I saw a trailer for the show. Yeah. And I didn't know what it was until the end. And I'm sitting there, this is hilarious, because I was like, oh, this looks cool. Like, what is this?
Me too, yeah.
And then it said Pennyworth, and I was like, no shit.
You know what? That's exactly how I found... Not how I found out about it, because I had heard about it. But that was exactly the first time I saw the trailer.
Oh, they showed it during the finale.
I was watching it in... I went to go see Pet Sematary, and they played the trailer for it before Pet Sematary. And I was sitting there, I was like, oh, this is kind of badass. And I was like, I don't know what this is. And then it said Pennyworth. I'm like, no shit.
Yeah, because then didn't he get together with Thomas Wayne at the end?
I don't remember.
Yeah, because he says, I've got a job for you.
Yeah,
and then
really.
it cuts to the title.
So I can't say I'm not interested, but I'm kind of getting hard set. I'm about to start my war against streaming services because I refuse to be in the future having 30 different fucking streaming services just so I can watch. I'm going to start pirating things. I don't care.
Well,
CouchTuner's a great website. I'm going to start watching stuff on there.
Netflix just canceled Santa Clarita Diet, so I'm done with them. They pissed me off a little too much on that one.
I can tell you that I am going to get rid of Netflix in the near future.
Yeah,
I don't know
Disney's
when.
going to get my money.
I'm going to have the Disney Plus app. I really hope DC Universe stays around because I will absolutely keep onto that. I am going to keep Hulu. And I will keep Amazon, of course.
Yeah, I'm about over Netflix. I need to finish Mindhunter first, though.
Mindhunter? I don't even know what Mindhunter is.
That's the one about the FBI agents that helped develop the serial killer profiling system.
Oh, yeah. I think I've seen some of that. It's really cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that Criminal Minds show, if I'm not mistaken. I really dig that show.
I've gone on this crazy binge of just serial killers and true crime and all this stuff. I listen to podcasts every single day about that stuff. I'm actually going to try to get on one. That's like my goal, so I can try to be like a... Hey, and this guy butchered 96 people back in 1994.
White people are crazy, I swear.
Well,
I'm
not white, so I don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know what I look like. Oh, shit, they saw the logo.
I was about to say, we have a logo.
Damn it.
And there's a picture of us on the Facebook page.
Damn it.
All right. Well, genuinely, I've had a lot of fun with this episode. I absolutely loved Gotham. And I can definitely see where you're coming from on the finale with your points. But as a fan, as just somebody who can enjoy that stuff regardless, I did enjoy it regardless. So
if I'm being 100% honest, not to sound cheesy or anything.
Yeah.
I've responded to some few people about it, like thoughts on it. And I just said, it's not the show that I think we as fans deserved, but I said more importantly, I don't think it's the finale. I'm sorry. Not the finale we as fans deserve, but more importantly, it's not the finale that cast and crew deserved because they put on a great show.
Oh yeah. You know
and
what?
I feel like that was not a good end for them. Like, I feel like they deserved a better
I know that
ending.
Mackenzie directed the penultimate episode, but I really hope he didn't.
Which was a good episode.
Yeah, it was a good episode.
Yeah.
I just hope he didn't direct the finale.
And you do know that he's married to Lee Tompkins in real life,
I am
right?
very well of that.
I wonder what
well aware of that.
I don't know what Wade Wilson thinks about that, because that's Vanessa.
What? Oh, you're talking fucking Deadpool. I just got really... Well, we're talking DC, and then you said Wade, and I'm like, hold on. Wait,
well, guys, this will be a
Slade.
solo podcast next week with just one host, as the other will be dead. Anything else to add before
I'm
you
a
die?
fake fan. No, I've had a lot of fun. Thank you guys so much for listening again. Matt, you got anything to say?
God bless, Godspeed, God bless America.
Godspeed.
Have a nice week. Go see Endgame.
Yes, please
kiss
go
your
see
loved
Endgame.
ones.
And please tell us on Facebook or Twitter what you think about Endgame. But if you post a fucking spoiler, I swear to God.
So that's funny you said that. I had one completely typed up yesterday that was saying, like, if you've seen it, what do you think? I think we should not, because
I agree.
it's just it's like bait. Somebody will do it.
If you guys follow us on Twitter, I haven't been on Twitter for like a week now, just because I'm afraid of even getting on there. I get on there I'll get on there real quick to give a shout out to, like, when I pick up my books, like, this issue was amazing, shout out to, and I'll tag the artists or writers and stuff, just because I'm a fangirl. But the other than that, I get right off Twitter, and I'm afraid to stay on it because there's so easily spoilers in there.
I had the post drafted, everything, and I was like, no, because then I will straight block the shit out of people that ruin this for other people. I know how it ends. I've seen it, but no, I feel like nobody should be robbed of the experience the first time.
I will say that at least on my social media circles that I stay on, people have been really great about not spoiling it.
I went in spoiler free. I feel like if you just know not to navigate to the right places,
right,
you're fine. Don't go to comment sections of anything, period. Like, don't. It's out there.
Han being killed was spoiled for me before I got to see the movie. And
yeah, I had no idea about that.
It absolutely ruined it for me. Like, I feel like it took the impact of that moment completely away from me.
Yeah, I remember seeing that and being like, oh shit.
One of my friends, I think I deleted them like immediately back then.
Yep.
Was they in the theater had took a picture and all you saw was Han's face and like the red glow from his abdomen area, which any idiot could tell that a lightsaber just went through him. Mm-hmm. And they posted that on Facebook, and it was like opening weekend. They posted that, and I deleted them immediately. I was so upset.
Why people get their jollies off thinking like there's something special or cool for doing that.
I think they need attention. Yeah, I agree. I don't. If you're that kind of asshole who feels the need to spoil, or you know what, talk shit. If you're the kind of asshole who needs to talk shit about other people's stuff just to make yourself feel special and spoil things for them and ruin things for them, then don't listen to our podcast. You have
this is going to sound a certain way, but there's a GIF image out there that completely spoils Endgame. I've seen it probably 150 times since I've seen the movie. It's out there, and it is like effective. It shows like something very key.
I'm glad I haven't seen it.
Don't take what I just did.
Just snapped.
No, that's not relevant. I'm just saying
there's another fucking snap.
No, there's no more snaps.
Oh my god.
No, there's no more snaps.
How many times can Thanos snap?
No, but like every time I see that, I go to those people's pages because I'm trying to find out where they live. That's not relevant, but I always notice that all those people, they never have any likes and not very many friends. Not because I think they're not a bot, but because they're a shit person. And that's enough punishment, so I don't track them down and beat them up.
Well, you and me, so Matt and I worked at Guitar Center together. That's how we met. And I think working in a retail environment, not just a retail environment, but a place like Guitar Center where there's a lot of opinions on a lot of things, mm-hmm. you get to come in contact with those kinds of people who just have to. It doesn't matter if it's like, again, I'm a Les Paul guy. I love my Les Paul, and I've always been a Gibson fan. And there are those people who need to shit entirely on the thing that you enjoy just because it makes them, I don't know if it makes them feel better.
It doesn't. That's the thing. I don't think they do that for any gratification. They just do it because their parents don't like them. Yeah, and they're just like, oh, I don't know what else to do.
It's crazy. But
assholes.
Anyways, we're right at the 2-hour mark. This has been awesome. Matt, again, you got any last words?
Nope, I already done said them. Just go see Endgame. Don't spoil it for anybody else. Have a good week. Thanks for listening. Love you. See you in the morning. I don't know who that's directed to.
Fair enough. Thanks a lot, guys. Good night, Matt's mom.
Goodbye.